Good morning. Morning, everyone. We'll see how that sounds today. I got to move Mike in a different position. I'm in a different position. I'll get the recording going, and then we are set. Let me turn off the notifications here. Boom. We'll get going. I can really hear the airplanes today. I'm gonna pull that mic in a little closer. Good morning, everybody. Sorry for the wait here. It's good to see everyone. Probably. Cancel that. I'll be with you in a sec. All right, we're set. Just so you guys know, we do have on the beta shirt today. I felt the need to maybe trigger some betas today, so I did go with the beta shirt today. Hope you guys enjoy it. Hopefully, it's plenty triggering for enough people. Good morning. Thank you for the gifts. Immediate gifts. Thank you, Shelly. Good morning. Two-party system is doing us wrong. That's true. It's hard to argue that. Appreciate that input. Do you have your soy latte? Yeah, I just have soy water today. We're going soy water. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what a soy latte is. I have no idea what a soy latte is. I don't honestly know what a latte is. What is a latte? What does that mean? I drink coffee, but I just drink coffee. I don't know what anything else even means. Let's see. Everyone there. Thanks, Jen. Oh, thanks, Korean Leftist. Thank you for doing that. They just cost a latte money. Well done. Beta daddy. Yeah, that's right. We're full beta today. Let me hop over. I've been making videos this morning. Things are going really well for the former president, Donald Trump. He's been floated as the next, sorry, Discord. He's been floated as the next Speaker of the House, which is just really fucking stupid. Just like insanely stupid. Jim Jordan first announced his bid for Speaker of the House. I don't understand what Gates' move is here. Does anybody have an idea on what Gates is doing? I can't figure him out. He's very confusing. You would think that if he was going to oust McCarthy, that he would maybe be running for Speaker of the House. Now, I know he's running for governor. Is this just all the move? Is this the move to be governor of Florida? I think that's what it is. Like, he just has to be this guy. Like, he's just trying to create a reputation. I can't imagine he's doing anything that's, like, good for the country, even though it worked out. Let's see. A latte is often shortened to just... Oh, it's a cafe latte. Sorry. Shortened to latte. It's a coffee drink with espresso and steamed milk. Okay. Well, so it's just coffee. It's just coffee and it has espresso. It's coffee that'll get you, like, fucked up. Yolanda. That's right. I'm not like the other soy boys. Look, I'm just not cultured. That's the real truth of it. I grew up in Utah. I live in Arizona. Not a whole lot of culture. Not a ton there. Trump is saying he won't rule out the speakership, as his name is consistently floated as Speaker of the House. What did he say? He's focused on running for president. He would not rule out being the GOP Speaker of the House. A lot of people have been calling me about Speaker. How much you guys want to bet if somebody asked Donald Trump what the role of the Speaker of the House was, that he couldn't answer that question? I don't think there's any chance he could answer that question if he was asked. It said, all I can say is we'll do whatever is best for the country and for the Republican Party. Now, can you serve as Speaker if you're in jail? I'm not sure on that one. Reporters noted Trump did not rule out becoming Speaker if he was asked, admitting only that there are a lot of people asking. A lot of people have asked me about it. I'm focused. We're leading. Here comes a Trump sentence that doesn't make sense. A lot of people have asked me about it. I'm focused. We're leading. I'm sure you don't read too much in the papers, but we're leading by like 50 points for the president. No, you're not. You're not leading by 50 points for the presidency. No, you're not. I mean, I know you meant Republican Party there, or maybe he didn't. Maybe he didn't even mean that. Maybe he didn't mean Republican Party. House rules do permit a non-member to be Speaker, but it has not been done before. if I can help them. What would he do? What was Marjorie Taylor Greene's tweet? Did anybody see that? Or let's see, MGT Trump. Let's pull that up. Oh my God, I pull up. You guys ever see these caving videos? I just pulled up Twitter. That popped up. These videos where people like just crawl down into a hole for no reason. They go into these tiny little caves that like, the amount of anxiety that gives me. Why? Why do you do that? Why would you ever do that? If there's anybody in here that goes caving, God bless you. I don't understand it. I don't like what's best case scenario? You come out. That's bad. Like that's the thing. You come out of it. What are you gonna do? Tell people about it? Who wants to hear an explanation of somebody like, yeah, I went into this deep dark hole, and when I got down there, it was dark, and there was rocks. I don't get it. I don't understand people who go caving. Like the
coming out of the Rhino in Ventura on the way back out.
That's right. I don't understand these people, man. I don't understand them. Fuck are you doing?
How's it going, man? I've been taking a TikTok break. I saw you on. I was flipping through, and
oh, good. Welcome back.
I thought
Why'd we take a break?
Oh, just doing lives and crap like that because it just gets exhausting, and you know.
I thought maybe you had done too many like dances. Thank you all for the gifts, by the way.
Yeah, I've been out playing with my new drone. That's my activity to distract me.
Spying on neighbors.
Spying on neighbors, yeah. Exactly. Dude, this new one is awesome. Are you into drones? Have you ever flown a drone?
No, but I'd like to hear about it.
Oh yeah, so
what's it called so I can pull it up?
Yeah, so DJI is the company, and they just came out with a new drone called the Mini Pro 4. And it is awesome. It'll fly like 12 miles away from where you are.
Oh, you know what? We were on a live, maybe it was a VC we were on, and somebody was flying one of these over I could not believe the range on it. I don't know if it was one of these things, and everybody made fun of me because they said I was just high.
And it's got like a 4K camera, shoots at 100 frames per second, like slow-mo, it'll follow you. So like you can you could be like in your boat and have a water skier behind you and have it follow the water skier as he's skiing. And
could you just have it follow somebody else? That would be a fun prank to play on people. Just have it follow them home.
Well, I guess I guess I could. I mean, I could like fly it up in my neighborhood and put it on a car, and it would follow that car. Yeah.
What are the rules on that? What are the What are the rules on recording from a drone?
Well, you have to be under 400 feet in altitude and under 250 grams, and then they're not regulated.
But what about recording? Like, are you allowed to record things?
Yeah.
Just depends on, I guess, what the.
I mean, I'm not gonna,
are.
I'm not gonna go. I mean, I guess people could like, recommendation for any of your listeners: never shoot a drone down because it's like shooting down a plane because you're pew-pewing something out of the sky. But yeah, I mean, so I guess
note to all of you who were planning on shooting down a drone. Is this a big problem?
No, not really. But I mean, I guess hypothetically, as they become more popular, people could start using them for nefarious reasons. I mean, I like to go out and shoot like the beaches and stuff when I go on vacation. It's small enough to fit in your pocket basically, and like you can take it out and shoot. If you're going hiking, shoot great footage. And this drone actually. The camera switches from panoramic to portrait, so you can actually shoot footage that's good for like phone size, phone dimensions, and like social media stuff.
So you could make TikTok videos with your drone. Exactly. There you go.
Exactly. So
I think it would be a great way to go. You know those videos they make where people just go report and arrest them, but like for the wrong reasons. That'd be a great thing to do with a drone, but just out of the cops' reach. Seem like jumping, trying to grab the drone.
It won't let you fly inside city limits. There's restricted areas. Like your drone knows that has GPS in it, so that it can return home to you if you lose it in the sky. But
wait, for real?
Yeah. It has a button.
Oh, that's amazing.
Push it and it returns to home, and it'll land where you took it off from.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
These comments are out of control. You guys are all
so like shit. You can't take it outside of DC. So if I go into DC, I can't fly it there, because it's obviously restricted. So, I live out of DC, so I see it. So it'll tell you whether or not you're doing something illegal, essentially.
That's wild. I had a drone once for when I was in real estate, and I thought I would be making the videos, and I crashed that thing all the time, and I would lose it all the time. Like it would run out of. I just was bad at it. Like
Well,
I would lose.
this
I'd have
one,
to like run down the street because I'd run out of range. I would go too far.
yeah. Well, that
Yeah, I
wouldn't
wasn't
happen
very
with
good
this
at
one,
that.
and this one has omnidirectional censoring, so like it won't crash in anything. It's got a 360-degree eyes around it, so omnidirectional obstacle avoidance. That's what it is.
Okay, so humans are just about to be extinct. It
Yeah,
sounds
so you
like.
can like literally put it to follow you, and it'll follow you through the woods, like, and not hit branches and stuff. It's incredible.
That's amazing.
It's
I'm
incredible.
gonna send me
And
some
for
videos on
thirteen
that. I
hundred
want to see
dollars,
some
for
videos
thirteen
they've
hundred
recorded.
dollars, for $1,300. I mean, I know that's not a small amount of money, but it's not the most amount of money ever either.
That's
And
true. It is not the most amount of money ever. That's true.
but for that, you can get one of these things and have it at your house. Like, I mean, yeah. Well, anyways,
Not C Note. C Note should not get this. C Note should not get access to this.
that's what I've been into lately. That's what's been occupying my mind. But I wanted to come on here. It's just about hockey season, so I know your Canadian liberal girlfriend is probably getting all excited about the Canadiens. And
You know what? She's been hanging out with a lot of those. I guess the hockey players are also bodyguards for her.
exactly.
She met them
Her
on
name's
Bumble
Marion
as well.
Lemieux,
So,
right? I thought that's what we said.
yeah, she's been spending a lot of time. She does it for me. She said she wants me to have famous athlete friends.
Yeah,
so she's
exactly.
been really great about that.
All right. Well, here, hopefully
brother.
I was a little bit of a sorbet for you. Go have fun yelling at
Thanks,
Trumper.
Chris.
All right.
Welcome back.
All right. Be good.
Hi, brother. You too. See ya.
Bye.
There's Chris. Chris is spying on you. Just so you guys know, Nick, you're up first. Or second, I guess. Hi, Nick. All right. Maybe no Nick. Wait, so I'm seeing Steve Scalise now also throwing his hat in the ring for speaker. Sounds fun. DC. Hey, DC. Hey, DC. Hi. Hello. It's me. I've been waiting here so you will turn off your stupid TV and come and talk to me. I'm waiting here. No? No, go on that, DC. All right, love you. Bye. I don't know what that was about. All right. Let's see. So Steve Scalise reportedly said he was... Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Let me see if I can find this. Steve Scalise, the Louisiana Republican who some in the party reportedly want to elect Speaker of the House of U.S. Representatives, was once reported to have called himself David Duke without the baggage. That's not good. Where is that? Where is that quote from? Does anybody have access to that quote? Let's see. Scalise, whose district includes a large suburban area of New Orleans, that Duke once represented in Louisiana state legislature, said he had been seeking support for legislation that focused on cutting wasteful state spending. Okay, this is because he went somewhere. Oh, he went to a white nationalist conference organized by Duke in 2002. Oh, he just got so many more votes. He just became the lead. He just became the leader in the clubhouse with this. This is the fun part about being a liberal. Sometimes you'll hear something about like a Republican and you'll throw it out there. You're like this will bring them down. And they're like, what the fuck? Why did they get more popular? This is a selling point for him. He'll be on Tucker Carlson tomorrow over there on X. Some glitchy ass program. Actually, they can't even do it live. That is interesting about Tucker Carlson. The idea behind his show was they were going to do it live. Has anybody noticed that he hasn't really been doing his show? And when he does it, it's always pre-recorded. They can't do it live because it sucks so bad. X, Twitter. Let's call it Twitter, just because it makes Elon mad. Twitter has become awful. You can't read a thread. Like every fourth tweet is actually just an ad, but they make all the ads look like tweets, so they trick you. A lot of fun. I don't think being on Twitter is better than being on CNN. Who says that? No, CNN, they pay you, and also it works. Like when you record something live, it goes out. It just works. It doesn't get glitchy. It doesn't freeze up. It's it CNN is substantially better than Twitter when it comes to broadcasting. Don't know if you knew that. All right, next up, Q. That's a good sign. Hey, Q.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Um, your last live, correct me if I'm wrong, was why do no, I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat. I think all politicians are stupid. I think they're all killers, whether it be Bush, Obama, Trump, whoever, they're all just pieces of shit. But anyway, why do you believe that that Republicans like criminals, but like you're
I
not
don't
gonna
know. I don't know why. I was trying to find that out. I don't understand why when somebody gets in trouble and they're a Republican, they become more popular. That's what kind of yesterday's was about.
but you're not gonna say that like I'm not left or right, but you're
Good
not gonna say
morning,
that
by the
any
way.
other
That was a
like
big yawn.
my bad. You're not gonna say that other like political affiliations, like people don't like idolize that.
No, you'd have to show me somebody who like got more popular. Like if we're going to say the Democrat Party, who broke the law or was accused of a crime and got more popular.
I would probably say like a Democrat.
Yeah.
Um, probably probably Clinton or Hillary.
Well, I don't think Bill Clinton was accused of a crime, right? He was accused of doing some other stuff, but none of that was a crime.
So then what about Hillary Clinton?
Well, I don't think Hillary Clinton's more popular now. She got substantially less. I mean, she lost to Trump.
She
That's a
got
ba-
like she got more
that's a
votes
bad
though.
that's bad. Like when her stuff came when they just investigated her, her numbers dropped drastically. She got beat by Trump, and we really haven't seen her as like a staple of the DNC since then. They're not trying to run her. She's not running for office. She's largely forgot about until like certain things come around, but she's not like a figurehead in the Democrat Party.
But she got more votes than Trump though.
Yeah, but like Democrats get more votes right now. Like that's just kind of how it is. Republicans aren't very popular. She didn't get more popular though. She got less popular. There, if you look at exit polling, when that investigation into her was announced, her numbers dropped. It's largely like it's a big reason why she lost to Trump. You saw a lot of swing voters who weren't sure on Trump and Hillary, and they broke late for Trump, and most of them said it was because of that investigation.
Well, are we not going to deny that that Democrats do I guess a good majority of them, or I would say not to, be general, but do show likeness towards FDR.
Wait, what?
FDR was a Democrat,
Okay.
so are we not
You're going
going
you're
to?
going way back in the time machine here to try and find somebody. You
Well, it's
recognize
only
that, right?
it's only less than a century, not too long.
Yeah, but like Donald Trump was yesterday. Like Matt Gates is like a couple years ago. Russell Brand is like 2 weeks ago.
Okay, but are we not going to say that like Democrats don't show respect towards them?
No, what we're talking about is why do people after they commit a crime get more popular in the Republican Party?
Like who?
That's the question. I just named it Trump. Or if they get accused. It can be accused too. So it could be commit a crime or get accused. Trump, Matt Gates, Russell Brand. Who else did I have on that list? Andrew Tate.
Well, Andrew Tate says he's
Um,
not a Republican.
well, Andrew Tate's full of shit. He's a Republican.
Had
Andrew Tate's not a Republican in the same way you're not a Republican. Where you come on here and you're like everybody sucks, but I'm just only gonna attack the left and defend MAGA. Like you guys all do
I'm
this.
not defending Mega. I'm just showing you
I
that
know, but you're going at the left is what you're doing.
and and
Who? Come on.
and,
Why do
and
you guys?
Tate doesn't even live in America.
Every single day, it's the same. Well, he's an American citizen.
Okay, but he's not. Is he registered within the Republican Party?
I didn't say he was registered as a Republican. I said, why do Republicans like people after they get in trouble?
Didn't Clinton?
Are these like your real arguments? These aren't good. These aren't good arguments.
And didn't what's it called? Didn't
By the way, how
Epstein
old are you, by the
support
way?
the Democrats more
Are
than
you
that?
over 18?
Didn't Epstein support the Democrats
Oh,
more than that?
gotta echo, dude.
Yeah.
You're gonna need to drop and come back up, okay? Must have got a phone call there. Let's go, Rudy Root. Give me a second. I'm gonna grab a drink here. Rudy Root, come on up. How you doing?
Good, buddy. Hold on one second.
Hey, you're not driving, are you? Cool. Weird start to the day. Rudy Root, let my mods know if you're not driving. I'll bring you back up. Q, did you jump back in or no? Q might not have jumped back in. That wasn't going super well for him. Are you over 18? 16-year-old? Yeah. Welcome, JW. Oh, thank you for those. I haven't seen those leaves before. What's up? It's good. It's good. Why would I find it wrong?
Yeah, what's wrong with being
I don't think there's anything wrong with being a conservative thinker. I don't know many conservative thinkers though. I know
your
a lot of people who just say like conservative things,
your
but
fan base says that they can't hear me. Oh, now they can. Okay.
okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, I don't think I've ever said there was anything wrong with being a Republican, but I've got a real problem with the current Republican Party and their leadership and what they say they stand for versus what they actually do. Or the things that they
So
do stand for seem a little strange to me. Seem a little
so I'm
backwards.
I'm a historically conservative person, and I agree with you. I
Okay.
think the old school. So I think we've been swept with a wave of progressivism, and I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think that we as a human we just have to move on. We have to at some point move on, and anything that's a conservative idea over time is going to ossify. Like we need to have progressive thinkers to rethink the new order of things. And I think the old school conservatives are having a really hard time giving ground to the progressives because it happened really fast, right? How old are you?
I'm 37.
So we're the same age. So
Nice,
I'm
dude.
sure that you can agree that this that we have changed dramatically as a country within the last 15 years. Would you agree to that?
I'd say it would depend on what you're talking about. Like if we're talking about like becoming socially, we become far more progressive. Yeah. I
That's
think that
exactly what I'm
largely
saying.
like our institutions have remained the same. Like our economic structure has largely stayed the same though.
But we can agree that there has been a lot more progressive thought accepted, right? It's more of an
Certainly.
accepted thing.
Yeah, sure.
So we can agree that we've made a lot of progress as an American society. Yes.
Sure.
So while I agree that some of the policies Republicans are putting forth are a little radical, I would say really radical. I think that following or voting for Trump or Ron DeSantis in this American society is what I would say wrong. You don't want to vote for someone who's going to slap all of your other fellow citizens in the face. I mean, there's a large proportion of the United States who are progressive thinkers at the moment, right?
Yeah.
So why would I cast my vote with somebody who's going to slap everybody in the face?
Yeah.
If going forward, if the left starts to understand that not every conservative thinker is a bigot, a racist, a homophobe, they don't all fall into that box. And
Sure.
likewise, all the left progressive thinkers aren't what they call pedos or like all this other crap that it just doesn't make sense. We are all American, and
Sure.
we have to just find this common ground again. You've probably heard other conservatives trying to communicate this. I've heard it time and time again. They're not really good at communicating. Again, I think because it happens so fast. I think I think it dovetails with technology and social media and stuff. What do you think about that?
What do you mean? Like it gets worse because of social media? Like it's inflamed? Is that what you're
Well,
saying?
well, see, I wouldn't say that it's worse because I don't have a problem with progressive ideas. I don't think that it's wrong to think up new things, right?
Okay.
We need progressive ideas.
So you're saying
Um,
it's like it's quickened, maybe? Is that what you're trying to say? Like it's quickened by social media? I'm just not sure
right.
exactly what you're getting at.
Yeah. I'm just saying that I think it happened really fast, and the traditionalists, the
What do you
conservative
think
thinkers,
happened really fast?
the progressive movement.
Yeah, but like obviously there's core tenets of being progressive thought that are not advancing really at all. I think the only thing that's really happened quickly is like, it only seems quickly because it got accepted more widely. Is if we're talking about like the push to have equality for like trans people specifically. That's the only one I can think of that really like came to the forefront quickly and became a national issue, and like largely people have become more progressive on that idea.
Well, then you get the pro-choice, the Roe versus Wade thing, which I
Well,
think
that one went backwards, right?
well, in policy it went backwards, but I think everybody fundamentally agrees that it's pro-choice. Like, I don't even think that's an argument anymore. If you talk to any of these conservatives or ultra religious people, they're going to give ground on the pretense that the person was SA'd, or like they're going to give ground one way or another, which in my opinion means that they're pro-choice. Like,
Sure, I
if you're going
guess.
to make exceptions to the rule, then why are we having the argument? Right? It doesn't make sense to me.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think what I'm trying to say is that it's just hard to digest. I think the old school way of conservative thinking is dying. I think they need to just die, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Like, I respect,
Well,
like,
what is there that like what conservative things would you point to that's like we could coalesce around? Because that's the problem I have. Is I'm looking at any sort of conservative policy or even ideology right now, and I'm saying, what am I going to coalesce around? Where are we going to find unity?
so that's the problem. They're grasping at old school conservative idea. I don't think that it works in today's social structure, especially in the United States. So they need to let it go and allow the progressive thinkers to put in place new legislation, a new type of government, maybe, and then after it's in place, the new idea. That's when the conservatives move in and do what conservatives do. They conserve. So then they hold on to that idea and make sure that it works long term. And then over time, that idea is inevitably going to ossify again. And then you're going to need another movement of progressive thinkers to step forward and say, this doesn't
Sure.
work anymore. We need to fix it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess there's things worth conserving, right? Like you can conserve, for example, our institutions. You could conserve our processes. You could conserve like the rights of each state individually to make certain choices. The problem I see is like, do conservatives exist anymore outside of just like don't say anything to our kids about being trans and like uh, archaic abortion laws and Democrats are evil. What do conservatives even run on right now? What are they trying to conserve?
That's the problem. They're trying to conserve something that doesn't work anymore.
Okay. What do you? So my guess is how this plays out is that the conservatives. I do think it's dying, and I think it's dying because Christianity also is dying. I think that you can't unlink those two things. I think the fact that you're seeing less and less people go to church, and you're seeing less and less people espouse conservative values. I think those are directly tied together. But my guess is that
They
2020.
absolutely are.
I think 2024 will be big for Democrats. I also think 2026 will, and Republicans are going to have to come to the table with a whole new agenda. And then at that
That's
point, like if
absolutely.
they actually want to come to the table and say like let's cut spending, they're also going to have to do that without cutting taxes. They're not going to be able to give breaks to their corporate buddies. They're not going to be able to cut spending when it comes to social programs. I don't know how Republicans recover from this. They have to completely change their platform completely.
Right. And the left also has to allow them to do that. Right. We coexist. So you can't have the only thing I think that both sides are concerned about is a totalitarian state. Right. If it becomes all progressive, we have a problem. If it becomes all conservative, we have a problem. We saw that in Soviet Russia. We saw that in fascist Germany. We don't want that to happen
Yeah,
again.
because yeah, if it's too one sided, you wind up having fascism, right? That's usually what happens, or some sort of dictatorial takeover.
Correct.
Yeah,
And when that happens, we have bloodshed. We have s- wide suppression of thought and idea and radical over the way people live and act. And you're starting to see that like that's the response that some of these Republicans are doing right now. They're like they're digressing back to the God thing. Like and
you
that's a
literally have the
problem.
yeah, you have the literally have the leader of the party saying I'm running on fascism, and they're like, cool.
Which is listen, I think we need to rethink the idea that separation of church and state that needs to be a thing that needs to be reinstilled in conservative thought, but they're grasping and so they're diverting back to what they know. That's the root of their argument mostly because conservative people are temperamentally traditional. You're going to have more believers in faith, people of faith on the conservative side of thought. Progressive thinkers aren't so religious, right? When I talk to ultra conservatives who are super religious, I like to tell them and remind them that Jesus was a progressive man.
Very
Dude,
progressive. Yeah.
Jesus showed up at a time where the Jews were super conservative. They were so conservative that they were run by another state. They were conquered by an outside entity because they were so caught up in their tradition that they couldn't rethink new rules and ways of living on their own. So another entity stepped in and did it for them, right? And they were super suppressed. And then Jesus showed up and was like, "Listen, you guys got it exactly wrong. You need to start to respect each other and think outside of this ultra traditional conservative way of thinking." And he offered them a radical idea that was super progressive, and they fucking freaked out over it.
Yeah.
I mean, like they literally nailed him to the cross. So the story says, right? And that I think is something to take to consider, right? Because then it became super extreme, and after that, there was timeless bloodshed over that in the combat of idea. So if we just find common ground, which I think we have it, like we all want what's good for this country. We all want our children to do well. We all want low gas prices. We all want people to have rights and the freedom to do whatever they choose to do. I think we all have that common ground, and if we focus on that, we'll start getting more progress. But it takes a little give and take, and just know that
Well,
every
unfortunately, it
conservative.
also takes like it also takes a massive political loss, right? There's like on a micro level when we interacting with who we interact with every day, that is the way we have to do it. We have to find common ground. But on a national stage, like you do have to deal with it this way, right? You have to deal with it in a way that's a little bit combative. You have to expose what you're seeing. Like it's important that people understand what Donald Trump's running on. It's important that people understand the consequences for rolling back Roe v. Wade. It's important to understand the consequences of targeting trans children. Like it's important to expose these things and make them very, very public. And sometimes you have to do it in a vitriolic way. But like what you're saying definitely works on on a micro level.
At some point, you're going to need those conservative thinkers to conserve your idea and make it
Yeah.
work long. You know, so it's just we need each other. That's all. That's I always when I enter these conversations, I aim to get that message across. It's like we live together. We are in this together. We're not enemies. We are not
Right.
enemies. Um, there are some radical people on the right. I give that. I understand that, and I sympathize for that, and I'm sorry about that, right? But
Thank you for the
what?
apology.
But like,
Appreciate
what?
that.
It's we just have to wake these people up. More conservative thinkers like me need to open their mouths and say, "Listen, you guys are wrong. Like you're
Well,
taking this a
where do you
little too
even
far."
find where do you even find a place? Because if you look at is it difficult for you to find a place? If I look across the board, if I look at conservative thinkers, like the most moderate might be like Ben Shapiro, and even Ben Shapiro's not that moderate, right? I don't know who a conservative thinker is with a big voice because I don't know how you get a big voice as a conservative thinker without like backing the craziness. So how do you find like that do you even get a reception on the conservative side?
Um, I am historically a super, well, I thought that I was a super conservative person. And I mean, I'm a songwriting instructor. I work at a local jail. Also an ex-convict. Like I've been to jail. I was a homeless drug addict for 15 years. You know what I mean? Like I have lived, off of social systems. I'm also like a bleeding heart liberal, but I didn't even know it. Like I write poetry. Like I'm a musician.
Well,
But
you
we're
write
all super
poetry.
left.
Everybody knew you were a liberal.
Right. Well, except for me. It wasn't obvious to me until I started actually entering into these conversations and talking to people that I disagree with. There is value in talking to people you disagree with because then you learn more about yourself. Right. And so what I'm learning is that I'm not the super conservative that I thought I was, not by a long stretch. I have a lot of liberal values and there's nothing wrong with that. It's like, so that's why I entered this conversation asking you what's wrong with being a Republican. Right. And I think um, aligning yourself with one of these movements, like the MAGA movement, is not. It's not. That's not Republican. That's not conservative. That is like super conservative. That is a movement that has separated itself from the rest of the
Yeah,
conservative thought.
I get it, but like I'm just saying, like I understand everything that you're saying. I'm just wondering, like, if you're going to be like a conservative thought leader, like, what would the thought leaders like? What would you say? What would you do that could make somebody like me who's a liberal, like, what could help me find common ground? It seems like everything you're saying is just like, oh, I agree with liberals on this stuff. It's like, okay, well then what are you doing over there? You know what I mean? Like, why? What are you? What value do they add for you? Like, what value does conservatism add for you?
Well, I hope that I would be able to reach them from a conservative lens and say, listen, like
But what's the
you
conservative? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Sorry to cut you off. I'm just trying to figure out, like, inside of your head, like everything you say makes you sound like you're just a liberal, but like you're around conservative. Is that really kind of what it is? That you're a liberal, but you have identified as a conservative, so you're just like, well, I'm just going to bring these liberal ideas to conservatives, or do you have some conservative ideas that you think like you could reach across the party aisle and say like, hey, here's where we can find some common ground.
So I even said that it's important to separate church and state, but I am a believer, right? I believe not in specific God. I'm not a Christian. I'm not a Jew. I don't practice a specific religion, but fundamentally, I believe in. I'm what they call an omnist, right? And I think that that's a more traditional thing. I believe in the mother and father. I think fathers are just important as mothers. I believe in the nuclear family. I hope that we can um, reinvent that wheel, and and it's just not a reality for a lot of people today. I'm from single family households. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with.
But like that, but that's also not like a conservative thing either. There's not like there's not like some attack on the family. There's no attack on the nuclear family, right?
I would say they feel attacked. I would say it's like
Yeah, but why? Yeah, but why? Like, where's the attack coming from? Like, this is the issue I have a lot of times. So I up until 2016, I was a Republican. I grew up Christian. I was Mormon, which is a very high demand Christian religion, and I heard all this stuff, the attacks on the family. But the attacks on the family were basically just like, oh, you let gay people get married, right? Or like, oh, and some people aren't forced to get married when they have a kid, or some people choose not to get married when they have a kid, or some people don't want to get married. That's not an attack on the nuclear family, right?
it's a new idea.
But
I
it's
always
an
like to
old
think of it
idea
like
actually. But previous to religion and these belief systems being put into place, most of human history, we kind of just ran around in packs and we raised children as a community. It wasn't like you had a mom and a dad. Like everybody kind of was free with their sexuality. Everybody was kind of free to do what they wanted, and you raised kids in groups. It wasn't until we got a more structured society and we introduced religion that you started seeing marriage. And from my perspective, coming out of religion, I look at marriage as like this thing that was invented so people could kind of either exist and get in the society and be like everybody else, or also sometimes to control. Right? A lot of times it was so that a man could control a woman. So I look at the roots of marriage in the nuclear family. I'm like, I don't know about this. I don't know that I should be super supportive of telling everybody they need this. Now, for some people, it's great. For some people, a nuclear family is great. But to just be open and honest and say like, hey, maybe the nuclear family doesn't work for everybody. Maybe it's not always the best idea. That's not an attack.
So what do conservatives value, right? They value
Well, what
walls. They
they
value
say, yeah, they say that they value what am I fiscal conservatism, right? Like small government. They value low taxes. They value freedom. They value independence. That's what they're supposed to value because those would be the things that were like espoused in our founding documents, right?
what you should do, if you can, and we'll end with this. I'm sure you have more guests. I don't want to hijack your
Sure.
live. Could you pull up the literal definition for conservative?
Yeah, I've actually done this before.
Really, it's super interesting. And then afterwards, if you pull up the literal definition for liberal, it's kind of like
Averse to change or innovation and holding traditional values, or in a political context, favoring free enterprise, private ownership, and socially traditional ideas.
the very first part. It says averse to change. Now, isn't that interesting, right? It's like they don't like new things. They like what they're used to. So when a new idea to them is introduced, it feels like an existential threat. And conservative thinkers are also more prone to conspiracy temperamentally. They're more likely to believe in a ghost, right? Because they believe in things that aren't there, like God and religion, right? So they're adverse to change. What was the second part of that?
These all sound like good reasons to not be a conservative. Holding traditional values.
Right. So what becomes tradition, right? Our cultures are all traditional, right?
Yeah,
The Spanish culture,
so like what why is that worth holding on to? Like conservatives would have been like, fuck cars, we got to stay with horses, right? Like don't get in a plane, that's going to go up in the sky. Every bit of innovation, every bit of social progress we've ever made, literally almost every progress that's ever been made in this world has been done because of liberals or progressives. Conservatives like by definition, by nature, it's just fear. It's just like, oh shit, like I'm not adaptable. I can't change. I fear change. And so I'm going to hold on to things that stay the same
okay. So
even if it's not working because it's like what I'm used to.
what do conservatives do? I would say that conservatives are more the protectors in a sense. Like even Jesus was a progressive,
Yeah, but
and
protectors of
we
what
don't know what happened
though?
to him.
Protectors of what though?
Society.
They're not protecting society though, right? There's I've never seen conservatives protect society. In fact, all I've ever seen conservatives do is try and keep people down that have been down. They fight every single time we make social change. When it was whether it was ending slavery, whether it
They're
was women's
literally adverse
suffrage,
to change.
whether it was any sort of voting rights act, whether it was marriage equality, whether it was rights for a woman's body. It's always the conservatives fighting against that.
Yes, because they are adverse to change.
Yeah, but like that's
Literally
they're
their temper.
pro oppression, right?
So now read the liberal definition, please.
Okay, but you understand what I'm saying, right? That's like pro oppression.
It's pushed too far, it becomes oppression. Absolutely. Yes, I
No.
agree.
If there's a group of people who are oppressed, and conservatives are always, and I mean always, going to fight back against that, then they're pro oppression. Liberal is, by the way, willing to respect or accept behavior or opinions different from one's own, open to new ideas. Why is that? That's what everybody should be. So your point is that conservatives should be liberals.
You should be a little more liberal minded, yes. Because if the listen, one idea taken too far into a totalitarian state is historically bloodshed. We see that time and
But
time again. It doesn't matter if
what's like a current liberal idea that you could say that would like if we took it to a totalitarian state or could even get to a totalitarian state, like what are liberals espousing? What are we advocating for that like if taken too far would lead to like catastrophe?
if it's taken too far, it's going to destroy the
Yeah, but
church.
what
Completely destroy
things
the church.
oh well who cares?
Exactly. Who cares? Well, the traditionalists care. The people who
Well,
believe.
how could we destroy like what idea if we're saying it would destroy the church, I'm saying like people would stop believing in the church. I don't think liberals are saying like they're not advocating that you get rid of churches, right?
No, no, but if it's played out in totalitarian, if it becomes a, so that's always the argument. Like, what are liberals advocating that you don't want? Like, and you can't draw a line on progressive thought. It's not by definition, it's not something that you can box up. There's no constraints on the way
Yeah,
that
like
progressive people think.
a couple minutes ago, you said that conservatives are more prone to believe in conspiracy theories. It seems like that's what you're doing right now. Like I can say that I don't like conservative ideas, but I'm not going to say that they're fascist until they're fascist, right? Like I haven't liked Donald Trump at all since he started running. I haven't started calling him a fascist until he put up Agenda 47. Now I'm like, okay, well he's obviously a fascist here, right? Like,
I would say when it's pushed too far, it becomes that
I'm
problem.
I'm gonna be honest. It seems like I like a lot of the things you say. You've obviously thought this out. You understand what you're talking about. But the issue I guess I take is that what you're saying, like there's no real impact to it. Like there's no way to implement that. There's no real way to like you're saying a lot without really saying anything. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay. Like let me try that differently. Like I understand like the sentiment. I understand that you're saying like conservatives need to be more like they need to be more open-minded or this is going to change and anything we take too far could go too far. But like what's the real solution here?
The real solution is for them to for conservative thinkers to reformulate what they're thinking about and trying to conserve. That's the basic part of my argument.
Right, but like
It's to kind of
specifically,
yield
like what would you like to see them reform their thinking on?
now, especially anything towards human
See, this
rights.
is all generic. That's why I'm asking for specifics. Maybe I'm not asking the question, and I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm trying to give you like, I'm trying to get a specific. If you're saying you're coming from a conservative side, and you want to see more unity, and you want to see the conservatives abandon fascism, like, what would you like to see them abandon or embrace that they either need to abandon or they need to embrace?
I would like. Oh, you're not going to accept this idea, but I would just
Hard to
like
tell so
both
far.
sides. I would like both sides to just kind of come a little bit closer to the center, because I think if we go too far in our direction, we're going to have a problem in
Okay, so
one way or another.
let's pick a topic and see like if we can find a way that you and I, because I'm pretty far left, is there let's see if there's a way we could find like a center. What's a topic you think that maybe we could all find a middle ground on?
The pro-choice.
Okay, what would you like to see? So what would you say like if we, like for example, if we left Roe in place, right, which basically protected up to 15 weeks, that's 70% of Americans. So if you said like first trimester, abortion is legal, no restrictions, first trimester, would you be okay with that?
I'm okay with abortion in general, and I think that every conservative thinker should let that go. There's way too
Okay,
many
so just
people
like
in this
just be
country.
okay with. I agree with that. Like that's kind of a libertarian principle. I agree with that. That they should be okay with it in general. How do you think propose that they are not? No, that doesn't, I doubt that would work. Like, right? We probably have to. You probably have to. That's the thing. Like, I don't see how we get there. I don't see how we get there because I also want conservatives to see that they're not the majority and that like they shouldn't have the rights over a woman's body. I agree with that, but I do this every day, and conservatives do this every day, and we don't seem to be able to find a common ground. In fact, for whatever reason, the Conservative Party seems to be going like harder to the right, like they're becoming more
I
and more
agree.
strict.
They definitely are responding in a radical way, but that is the fruit of the left going too far. Like if the left goes too far,
But
the right
where
goes
did
too
the
far. The
left go
right
too?
goes too far.
But
The
where did
left
the
goes.
left go too far?
I would love for you to answer that question for me because I've never met a left thinker who's been able to draw a line, and it's not. That's not.
But you just
I'm not.
agree. But we just agreed that like there should be no limit. So where if there's no limit, how could I go too far?
That's exactly the problem. So we know. Okay, can we agree that the mustache man went too far and
Yeah, we can agree
fascism?
on that. Yeah, we
Okay.
found agreement
So
there.
so then why can't I get a left thinker to agree that what happened in the Soviet Union was too far left?
What do you mean?
Gulags in Russia?
You think lefties don't think that was too far?
Never heard one say that. So if and to be frank, I think how do we get there? I think this is how we get there, right? We're
I
having
think you would have a I
conversation.
think you would have a hard time finding somebody on the left that's like what happened in Russia was totally cool, or the USSR, I guess.
To be honest with you, that is exactly what I get most of the time. It's like that wasn't done properly. That wasn't communism the right way, or like they make excuses for it. I actually saw a woman who survived the Soviet oppression come into a communist.
Wait,
Uh,
no, but no, wait, hold on. But like forced labor is not the same as socialism or communism. So they're right in saying that that wasn't how it went. Like when you're talking about forced labor, you're no longer talking about communism or socialism. So that's why they're saying like, yeah, that wasn't the correct way to do it. It's still saying it went too far. We're all saying the same thing. I mean, I'm not a communist, by the way. I understand it. I think it would. I think it can work. I don't think it would work here, especially with our makeup that we have now. We'd have to make a lot of changes, but I don't think that's unreasonable for somebody to say that what the USSR did was wrong and that it wasn't like true communism. That's the problem, really. My issue with any ideology, especially like economic theory, is that all of them seem to rely on the people doing the right thing. And people aren't always going to do the right thing. And somebody eventually is going to try and seize power. And if you give them an opportunity to seize power, they're going to take that opportunity to seize power. And that's what happened in the USSR. That's what the Republicans are doing right now. They're literally willing to give over the power to Donald Trump just so they feel like they won.
and I would say that that's just an idea taken too far. Like that's the problem. We get consumed with ideas. I think the reason that humans are able to be where they're at in general is because we can allow ideas to die instead of ourselves. But if a human takes an idea too far, it will kill them, right? That's the whole thing. It's like if you think about it, like
Right,
uh,
but what I asked is like again, like we're way off in the weeds. Like I'm just trying to look for a way. Like what did the left? You said that the response by the right was that the left went too far, and I'm just asking where we went too far.
like today's policy, you're asking.
Yeah, I mean, because if what the right is doing is in response to the left going too far, then what are they responding to?
They're responding to the fact that it doesn't fit their traditions anymore. That the country is no longer the way that it was. That's kind of what I was saying in the beginning, right?
Yeah, so
They're still grasping this old concept.
they turn to fascism.
I would say that that is like a knee-jerk reaction. It's like the only response. They've also dropped the ball for so long. We conservatives have been out of the conversation because the progressive people have moved into all the important positions in throughout the country. They're in all the bureaucracy.
Yeah, I
They're
mean
in
when you have
all
shitty
these stupid.
ideas and you want to like discriminate against people, it's going to be hard for people to want to put you into important positions.
Correct. That's exactly what I'm saying. So the old conservative idea is ossified. It's over. It's done. It needs to be let go. It needs to die respectfully so that the new idea can come in place and that we can conserve the new idea and make it work long term for everybody in this country. So for that to happen, how do we make that happen? Well, we have conversations like this. You have two people
Yeah,
talking.
but this is like this isn't. I'm going to be honest. This hasn't been like a productive conversation at all. We're talking way past each other. I think that what you need to do is you need to talk specifics and you need to nail it down. I have no problem with conservatives existing. I have no problem with the Republican Party existing. I have a problem with people who are looking at this and saying this is a both sides problem right now. But when I ask for a specific on like what did the left do to cause this, you can't tell me. So that's where I have the issue. I really don't. I think historically, yeah, like there's a lot of both sidesism, but
The left
currently
did, the left
in
did
our
what
current like currently where we're at, I don't think it's a both sides thing.
the left did what the left does. And that's not saying that they did anything wrong. They didn't do anything
Bro,
wrong.
that's
They just
so generic. That's so like
it's not generic.
this is nothing. This is going nowhere. These are all just like generic blanket statements. I still have yet to get a specific on the right or the left. I appreciate the sentiment. I really do. I appreciate the idea and I appreciate your willingness to look and
So
recognize
so
that the conservative party has like or the Republican Party has like fucked up and the conservatives don't really have anything. I appreciate that. But like at some point we got to do something. We got to at some point there's got to be some actionable item. There's got to be something that we can actually do to bridge this gap other than just all standing around like looking at the river going, yeah, somebody really ought to build a bridge.
Well, pointing at each other is certainly not going to solve it. That's another part of what I'm saying.
I would
It's like,
disagree with that. I think no, I think when bad behavior is called out publicly, it leads people to change. I do believe that. I believe publicly being humiliated by espousing your beliefs and having everybody there be like, "Oh my God." Like what? Yeah, I think that's a good thing. I think TikTok is a good vehicle for that. I think asking good questions of people and getting down to their beliefs. I've been embarrassed by my beliefs before. I've been called out on my beliefs before. That was a learning experience for me. It's just that everybody's so goddamn soft. Nobody wants to admit like, yeah, that was dumb, and then change. Nobody wants to hold their own party. It's certainly the Republicans refuse to hold their own party accountable for all the dumb shit they say. I think what needs to happen is the Republicans need to get stomped on, and the Republicans need to be made like honestly. This is my opinion, and I understand how fucked up this sounds, but I honestly think the Republicans need to be embarrassed. They need to be ridiculed. They need to be shown to their face what they're supporting, and that's the only chance of them changing. They need to feel that. They need to feel that they're hurting people. They need to feel that like their ideas are bigoted, that their ideas are causing harm. I actually think that's the only way to do it. This like dancing around being like kumbaya shit, it doesn't work.
All right. And so you realize that the option you're asking for almost always leads to bloodshed.
Well, it already is. Like, right, they're already fighting. What do you want me to, like, I'm not going to pull back and let fascism take over because they're threatening to be violent.
But you would advocate for a more, so it's just, your argument is the same thing the other way around, really. It's like you're not moving towards a fascist totalitarianism. You're moving towards more of a communist socialist totalitarianism.
That has nothing. No. That has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with communism or socialism. It has to do with people like bigotry being exposed. That's what's happened. Whenever we have social change, like 20 years ago, you could say things about gay people that socially now are not acceptable, right? So most of the people who are homophobic have like kind of had to pull back and either change their views or they're kind of ostracized from society. That's how this
Do me
works.
a favor. Read the literal definition to the word bigot. You're going to be surprised by what it says.
Oh my God, dude! I feel like are you listening to what I say?
I just read it. You'll be surprised.
A person who obstinately or unreasonably attached to a belief, opinion, or faction, especially one who is prejudiced against or antagonistic toward a person or people on the basis of their membership of a particular group.
So, what does that say to you?
It says that if you have an unreasonable attachment to a belief, opinion, or faction, and especially one that's prejudiced or antagonistic towards a person or people on the basis of their membership of a particular group. So what are you getting at?
Like conservatives, like Republicans?
What?
If you're attached to this idea that conservatives or Republicans are no good, by that literal
I'm not. I literally every single time somebody comes on here, I ask them and I've asked you your opinion, and you won't give me any of your actual beliefs. I've spent like however long you've been on here, like 20 minutes trying to get you to tell me an actual belief so I can see, like, so that I can judge for myself, and you won't give me one. I don't think all conservatives are bad people. My parents are conservatives. I have a lot of conservative friends. A lot of them, like, they're good people. Their belief system isn't that flawed, and I can have conversations with them. I don't think those people are bigots. But when you see a bigot, and that bigot happens to be a leader in the Republican Party or the conservative movement, I think it's very important to not only expose that, but to show the people who follow them, like, hey, are you cool with this? Does this work for you?
That's exactly what we're saying the other side around. I don't know what your name is, but RTP. That's what the conservatives are trying to say the other way around. It works both ways, my man. That's what I'm trying to say.
Where are liberals being bigoted? Where are liberals being bigoted then?
You're look at your statement behind you. That's a bigoted statement. I
don't think that's bigoted.
I
actually give them an out by saying they just don't know it.
How do you come to know it? Right?
I ask questions. So when somebody comes up and they're like, I like freedom, I'm a Republican, I would ask a bunch of questions. And at the end of that, if they knew everything I was talking about and they didn't hate freedom, I'd be like, oh, okay, well, you're not one of those people. Thank you. Move along. Like, obviously, I got to be a little clickbaity here, but there's an out right there. They just don't know it.
And that's exactly what I'm pointing at. That's why I had you read that definition, because it's interesting if you think about it. If you guys if anybody is unreasonably attached to a single idea that excommunicates another part of the community
Bro,
or
I
targets
literally only talk to conservatives on here. Like, I do not fit that definition. I'm not antagonistic or prejudiced against somebody for being conservative. I ask people their beliefs and then I make a decision. I don't fit this definition. This doesn't fit the way that I operate. It's fine if there's like, you might know some liberals who operate this way, and I would agree with you that there are liberals who certainly could fit that definition, but you're not talking to one of them.
Well, it's interesting that everybody in your chat seems ultimately triggered by that point. So I'm going to leave it there and let you guys think about that, because I think it's important to think about it. There is,
brother. I would love to talk to you. I would love to talk to you again sometime, but I'll just tell you this: like, you don't say anything. You just dance around the perimeter, and it makes me think that like you're the kind of person that makes me a little bit nervous. And I hope I'm wrong on this. I'm not saying this is the truth, but like I've dealt with a lot of like white nationalists. I've dealt with a lot of like kind of shady people who might have some bigoted views, and they dance around with this sparkly language, and they'll never talk about anything specific. Right? So they want to be seen. They want to be seen as moderate. But when push comes to shove, dude, if it was like me and you and we were running I wouldn't trust you, because you don't really ever espouse any of your own beliefs. You refuse to like tie down to any specific subject. You just dance around everything, and it makes me nervous. I'm like, what's he hiding here? Because you won't talk about anything.
The entire fundamental part of my argument is exactly that. There's nothing to tie down to. It is over. It is dead. It needs to be reconstructed. That's what I'm saying. So if a person like me continues to have these conversations, whether you think I'm talking in circles or not, I really don't care. It's like we need to reformulate what we do think. And the only way we can reformulate what we do think is by having fucking conversations like this one. You know, like I have swayed my opinion in so many ways by talking to people I disagree with. And if I just have the
I agree. I'm just saying that we should nail down, like, we haven't even had anything to disagree on. I haven't been able to talk to you about it like a single topic, really. Right? That's all I'm saying. I'd love to do it again sometime. And I'm not trying to be a dick. That's just the feedback for me. Like, I felt like we talked about nothing for like 20 minutes. That's all. I feel like if you come back another time, like if you wanted to pick like something specific where you felt like we could find some common ground, I think that could be a useful discussion. You're a smart guy.
No,
I don't mean necessarily tie you, but like, I mean, you've got to have some things you believe, right?
There's a reason for that. You're looking for the gotcha moment. You're looking for me to tie myself to one thing.
My God, no,
but that's how it is.
What the fuck are you talking about?
You just said that you think it's important to out people and shame people.
Yes, if they have bigoted ideas, but I'm just trying to figure out what your ideas are so we can find common ground. And you're avoiding them. It's not a gotcha thing, dude. It's really not.
My idea is that we need to all return to being Americans. Just function together. It is a generalized statement because we're too specific. We're too individualized.
We're not specific enough. So I think maybe that's where you have the difference. You think we're too specific. I think we're not specific enough. I think that's probably where we have the disagreement.
That's the fundamental disagreement between conservatives and progressives.
All right. Well, maybe I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you about that. I'm going to keep being specific. I think it seems to be the approach that makes the most amount of sense. I would never operate in any other scenario where I would just like walk around the periphery and not address specific things. I would never do that. So it doesn't seem helpful at all to me.
For everybody in the chat and for you, listen, like I'm a person in recovery, and I've learned that when things irritate me, those are the things that I have to pay attention to. So if anything in this conversation at any point upset you or irritated you, I would encourage you to look at that and start to consider why that is, right? Because I've learned a lot from the people who irritate me, and that's why I have conversations with people I disagree with. And I think if we keep doing this as a society, we're going to make a lot of progress. It's just, let's understand that we're all humans, we're all Americans, we all deserve to have a place and a voice and to be heard. And until it gets radical, you start getting radical, you start taking away rights, you start shaming people. We got to draw the line somewhere.
All right, brother. I hear you. I appreciate you swinging by. All right.
Yeah. You guys have a good one.
See ya. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, like, nice guy. Nice guy. I think we have a difference of opinion there. I don't know what to do about that. But nice guy. I appreciate the conversation. Box is full as shit. Look, I'm just looking for opposition though. So that box is full as hell. While I bring up Miss Julie, if you're not opposition, could you just pop out of the box? Miss Julie. Hi, Miss Julie.
What? Anything but nonsense today. Is that okay?
Hi, Miss Julie. How are you?
Hi,
How's
Jay.
your health today?
Well, the Uber dropped me off from the hospital a couple minutes ago, and I could see from the outside my window's still boarded up. I'm a little concerned about that.
Why is the
I'm a
window
little
wait, why is the
concerned.
window boarded up, Miss Julie?
Well, because they had to use the crane to get in and
Oh, they
remember.
broke the window. They didn't do it. They didn't do
Well,
it.
no, they had to break the picture window, come in through the crane, roll me up in a goddamn carpet hooked to toe chains. It was just like transporting Free Willy. It was horrible. Thankfully, the hospital was a closer drive.
Was
Nonsense, I tell you. But
how's
at least the window is still boarded up, 'cause after that last guy, oh.
well, it gets drafty in those hospital gowns too.
Well, they gave me back my pants, so that's always a good thing. Don't
I'm
nobody
shocked
want
to
to
find
see
out you were
that.
wearing pants, Miss Julie. I was actually shocked
Yeah,
by that.
well, nobody wants to see that, I tell you.
I do
All
have a
right.
question for you. I'm surprised to see you calling in today,
Well,
on
I
your
know,
phone.
Jay. Don't say it. Don't
I know
say
you
it.
were. Well,
Go ahead. It's your show. Go ahead.
you want to save this for another time?
No, that's okay.
Well,
Go ahead.
I mean, I know you got 5G, and I know that you were a little concerned about. Jesus, the Discord is saying free Julie.
Well, Jay, the concern at the hospital was they did have me in a rubber room for about 4 days, 'cause after that time they brought that big rolling 5 foot tall metal food cart down the hall. It busted through my door and attached itself to my chest. They had to defibrillate me just to get me back by the time they pried it off. But no,
Did you
I'm okay now. I'm okay. I'm okay.
did you
Nobody
get
worry
any?
about
Did you
me.
pick up any puddings off the cart? You get anything good off the cart? If it's going to be right there attached to you anyways, you might as well get a
Well,
snack.
I got some chocolate pudding, thank goodness.
Hell
But
yeah.
that was a problem. Now, see, it was a good and a bad. It was good because I didn't have my teeth, but it was bad because I didn't have my insulin. So it was kind of a crapshoot.
Oh no!
It
Thank
was
God you were in a
delicious, though.
hospital. Thank God you were
Yeah,
in a hospital.
I was, but since I'm non-caffeinated and non-nicotined and
Ugh,
non-THC'd, I was kind
ugh.
of in a foul mood and was fighting the needles.
All right. Well, look, I'm just glad that 5G didn't trigger any viruses in you today. That's what I was concerned
No,
about. I know you were
yeah, I
worried
knew
about that
that's where
yesterday.
you were going, Jay, and sometimes I can be quite the conspiracy theorist, and I know they're saying that the zombie apocalypse is happening at 2:30 Eastern Standard Time
Oh, we're
when
not
the
there yet. Oh, is it supposed to be at 2:30?
2:30 Eastern Standard Time. We have 51 minutes to go.
Okay. Well, you'll let us
Now,
know if
when the
anything comes up,
emergency
right?
alert system goes out, it's supposed to activate the vaccines. Now listen, kids in the chat.
This
Kids,
is for educational purposes only. We do not endorse any of this.
no, I have to confess, when I was in the hospital, I'm going to whisper this because I don't want my neighbors to know. They did give me some of them antipsychotic pills. And yeah, zombie apocalypse, no. It's not happening, kids.
Okay. Well, we'll
Liars!
see.
No,
I'm not just going to take your word for it, okay? We'll see.
well, yeah, I'm not the most reliable witness. But I will say, now this part is true. If anyone has a hidden phone in their home, this is not conspiracy bullshit now, kids. Take me serious. Now, if you have a hidden phone in your house, and I'm not talking about people that are having affairs, because fucking people having affairs. But if you're in a domestic violence situation or something similar, and you have a hidden phone for your safety, make sure you turn that off, leave it off for at least 30 minutes afterwards, because it will audibly give the emergency alert at 2:30. God honest truth, that's just Miss Julie in a
Wait,
good
so is my
public service announcement.
is my phone gonna go off at 2:30?
Everybody's phone will go off at 2:30 Eastern Standard Time. This is a nationwide from the emergency alert system in FEMA.
This is gonna be chaos for TikTok. This is
So,
gonna
yeah,
shut everybody that gets a phone call, and it makes the entirety of TikTok is gonna have an echo. This is gonna be chaos.
shit's gonna be oh my God. Oh, Jay,
Yes.
I just walked into my apartment. Jesus friggin' Christ on a cracker. Oh,
What do we
God.
got, Miss Julie?
I don't know how long they left this window open, but it appears I have a large infestation of pigeons in my recliner. What the hell? Oh, God. There's feathers and there's shit splattered everywhere. Oh, God. Oh, for heaven's sakes, what am I gonna do?
Looks like yes, a new friend.
Oh, I think it's a big one. I'm coming, Elizabeth. Oh, Jay, I gotta go. I gotta get these birds out of here. This
Okay,
is
Miss Julie.
too much. If anybody has any suggestions, just send me a fucking message. It's just me and Miss Kitty Whispers all by ourselves here. I don't feel safe. Help! Help! Jay! Can you
I'm-
still hear
help
me?
Help is on the way. I've got my best shooers. They're gonna come shoo the pigeons out of there. Help is on the way. Oh no! Oh no! The pigeons got her. Oh no! Somebody check on Miss Julie, please. Somebody check on. Help is on the way, Miss Julie. Help is on the way. Rudy Root.
Hey man, a couple of quickies, okay?
Yes, sir.
Appreciate hearing you. You're doing a good job out there. I like
Appreciate
your
it. Thank you.
It says that you're focused.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So the reality of it is the two major political parties remain pretty unpopular in the United States, and it's not just the Republican Party; it's the Democratic Party as well. We got to recognize that.
True.
And what's happened is there has been a shift. There's been a shift. There's been a shift right and left. And so what used to be center is kind of muddy now. It's not as defined. And the reality of it is there's a slightly larger majority that have greater faith in the Republican Party to protect the country from international terrorism and military threats. And that's an issue.
That makes sense.
Where the Democratic Party starts to lose the center is in something you said a little bit earlier about trans rights for kids. And that is one big issue that it makes everybody kind of go, have you guys lost your friggin' minds? Because we all know that the development phase of all of us was the time that we were the dumbest and the least like to make good decisions for ourselves, and that's why you parent through it and you navigate it. And see, those are things that are just very troublesome for the Conservative Party. A lot of times I hear people trying to compare the Conservative Party with the Nazi movement. And wait, you're not supposed to say that, right? Gazi movie? Is it?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
brother. Sorry.
Well, it probably won't get me, but it may get you. We'll see.
All right, I'm not worried about it
It's all
because it's a
right.
real word and it's a real thing, and it's
I
a
know.
comparison. And the
Yeah.
reality of it is, if we start changing every word, we're never going to use words like Republican and Democrat and things like that. But if you look at the kind of rise of power for the Gazi Party, it was a 25-point program, and frankly, a lot of the things in there are very democratic policy thinking type points, and we want to call.
What do you mean?
If you look across the board, have you ever studied this? The
A little bit. I'm not like I would be far from an expert.
That's the fun. I'm trying to remember the term, but there's a term for comparing everything to something that's dramatic, that's absolutely the worst if you don't like it. And so you hear people talking about comparing Trump to Hitler, and there's really no comparison in a lot of respects. but it's an easy, let's make him look as bad as possible. I don't like the guy at all. I'm not.
That's a hot take.
Yeah, I mean, it's an easy take too, right? And a lot of people talk about, oh my God, if you're a conservative, you're a mega. And the reality of it is that's not true. That is absolutely not true. All the people that I know that are conservative thinkers, there's not, but very few, including my dad and father-in-law, who basically look at Fox News all day long. I mean, that's all they do. That's their manifesto. They do not like the guy at all. Not at all.
Yeah, but when push comes, like, nobody cares who they like. It's when push comes to shove, will you support him? And that's the problem that we have. All my friends, this is the problem that I have with it in general. All my friends say the same shit, and almost everybody that comes on here, outside of like David, says the same shit. Like, no, I don't like him, but you think everybody liked that German guy? You think everybody thought all his ideas were great? No, it was like, nah, we don't agree with this, but
okay,
we don't agree with this, but.
Yeah,
and then they just went along. That I think it is extreme cowardice for people to stay within a party when that man is the leader. Anybody anybody's still in that party, anybody still voting for people, for him and people that he endorses, like, sorry.
So
you don't get to say you don't like him. I don't care.
On one hand, Biden said he's against gay marriage, 100%. He said it himself. The first president. You're right. And so there's a shift, but. The first person to publicly say in office they supported gay marriage was Trump.
So, who cares?
But see, that
doesn't mean no, because that doesn't mean anything. Because gay marriage was already legal, and Donald Trump wasn't doing a goddamn thing. Whether he meant it or not, I don't know. I assume he meant it. Most people do. It didn't mean anything. That example right there is the issue that I have. You want to smear, like we smear Joe Biden, who, by the way, was vice president when we legalized gay marriage and who was offered protection for gay marriage. And you have Donald Trump, who was just the first one to say it. That's not an argument.
But it's not. That's the point, is that you can't not support it vocally and then throw out the guy who vocally supported it. And nobody
was running on it. You absolutely can throw him out.
Today. That's the divide in the country today. We can't.
The divide in this country is not about gay marriage. There is no divide. No. It's not about that.
It's the point that we can't even find common ground in the places that we agree. That's the point. So you talk about Trump.
Wait, hold on. Wait, what are you talking about? Because we all agree on
common ground.
But we all agree on this.
That we agree.
No, we all agree on this, and we have common ground.
Had a discourse. You and I had a discourse on a topic where there's agreement. We don't need to do that.
Okay, but do you understand that you started this by saying Biden opposed it and Trump was the first one for it, as if that meant anything? Like, yeah, most people in America agree gay marriage is a good thing.
100%. It means that we have agreement. That's the point I'm making to you. But we play it out as if we don't.
But it's not a divisive issue, right? Of course we have agreement. Why would we sit around and talk about agreement?
Your cadence just made it a disagreement when we're in agreement. It did. And that's my point.
So then can you explain to me why you brought up that Joe Biden said he opposed it?
Because during the Obama administration, gay marriage was legalized. Although Obama, who's the current president, said he was absolutely against it. The point being, though, that Trump comes into office and he says right out of the gate, I support gay marriage. But then it's still a point of divide instead of a point of going,
no, it's not. Nobody's divided on gay marriage. That's what I'm pointing out. Nobody's divided on this.
No,
this isn't divisive. I don't even know, like, nobody's arguing about this. The Republicans aren't arguing about gay marriage. The Democrats aren't arguing about gay marriage. That's in the past. We've already been there. You're creating this imaginary divide now.
No, I'm not. I'm saying to you that we don't have divide there, but a lot of the conversations, just like the one you and I are having right now, spar around this idea. Well, no, we're in agreement on this. The point we have to get to as Americans is we got to start going, hey, actually, you know what? Both of us are on board on that. Both of us are on board on that.
Like, and ignore the things that we are opposed on?
So ignore this. Taxes are way too high right now.
Taxes are way too low right now.
Way too high right now.
Way too low right now.
How much do you pay in tax right now, you personally, to survive?
I mean, this year my income is going to be very low, but historically I've been like in the top tax bracket.
Okay, so you've been in the top. What does that mean at the end of the day? Your true ability to spend is what is it?
What do you mean my true ability to spend?
Of your dollar, what cents are you capable of spending on buying something?
Like, are you saying percentage?
Percentage.
Like
yeah.
how much? Are you just asking how much I keep of my tax money?
Absolutely.
Like what percentage?
Yep.
It depends on the year and what write-offs I was able to get. The highest I ever paid, I paid just a little over 50%.
Okay.
The lowest, and then I restructured things, and I was paying around like between 18 and 25% was my effective rate.
Okay, so let's go to the highest point that you were paying in taxes.
Uh-huh.
One of the things you didn't think about on the back end of that was sales tax that you were paying every time you made a purchase.
No, I thought about that.
Right? No, I mean the reality of it is though, why should you be working your tail off here, doing what you do?
I wasn't working that much harder than people who were like in poverty.
I'm talking about.
I just had a really high paying job, and I made good decisions.
Let's not get on the poverty thing because the child poverty level just went from 7.5% to 13 point something percent this year.
Yeah, I know because taxes are too low, and people at the top are hoarding all the money.
That's not reality.
But no, that's literally reality. The number one driver of inflation is corporate profits.
No.
Yes, that's no. This
So
isn't like this isn't even up. Wait, this isn't even. Wait, hold on. Hold on. No.
Just
this isn't up for debate.
Every dollar that's collected by a corporation, every dollar spent on tax is a dollar that comes back to you as an additional cost for that product. Period.
Wait, say that again.
Every dollar of tax increase that hits a corporation comes back to you in the form of a higher price.
That's not true.
Absolutely true.
It's not true.
Absolutely true.
It's not true.
So have you ever run a business? Okay, so when you were running your business, you had material cost, labor cost, tax.
I didn't really have material cost.
Well, so the point is you have a whole bunch of costs. Then you take your price and you offer that to the customer, right? But it's based upon all of your costs and then some margin so you can have some
so like when I was running my business, No.
Yes.
No.
So you're saying you don't have to pass the cost of the tax on to the consumer?
Correct.
You're wrong.
How am I wrong? It's what I did.
There is no way you pass the tax on it as a line item to the consumer.
I made less money. And lots of the other owners made less money, and some of our executives made less money.
Impossible. You have to take all of your costs.
Wait, let me explain how this is possible. Let me explain. No, shut the fuck up. I'm explaining my business. Shush. I'm explaining my business. Don't tell me how my business worked. Okay, so I was a retailer, right? We were a retailer. We did not control the cost of what we sold. We did not control the cost of what we got, right, from as payment. What we did is we sold a product. During the time I owned my business, Arizona took the minimum wage from $8 to $12. So I had to pay, and we had a lot of college students. We paid minimum wage. It was a part-time job, but it took us to $12. Plus, we had to pay insurance for anybody at that point. Like, then we had Obamacare, so we had to pay insurance for people who were full-time, right? We had to do that as well. Well, we didn't get paid more because the product we were selling, we were getting the same amount. So what did we do? We took less money. That's all we did. And when you're talking about what you're talking about, like, explain to me why that costs. Like, let's talk about healthcare, for example. When you look at the profits from healthcare companies, you take all their profits at the end of the year. 96% of their profits go to paying for stock buybacks. It could be executive pay. It's C-level. It's investors. 96% of the money that they make goes to pay people absurd amounts of money, and 4% goes back into the infrastructure of their business. Why? Because there's no incentive for them to take their profits and reinvest it into their business and into their people. Their incentive is to keep the money and hoard the money and become millionaires and billionaires and have generational wealth. You're incentivized to do that. So if you have to change the incentive program, this all changed right around Ronald Reagan when we decided to do this, like the world's dumbest experiment called trickle-down economics. Before that, this didn't happen. Before that, people made good money on basically every job. You could live, if you worked 40 hours a week, you could afford a place to live, you could afford to have a family, you could afford food. Well, we can't do that anymore because the money stays at the top. You understand how, like, our Federal Reserve works, right? Like, we circulate money. That's what they do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if they're circulating money, that's their job. We have all this money in circulation. And all this money keeps going. It goes through the economy. It gets to these corporations. It goes to the top, and it stays there. That money is no longer circulating, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so these people at the bottom, where are they going to get money? We have to subsidize, right? The government has to subsidize. We have to offer food stamps. We have to offer for Walmart. $1 billion a year goes to Walmart employees to give them like food benefits because they're not paid enough. We wind up having to cover that, and we wind up having to print more money to put it into the economy so the economy keeps working. But eventually that money's just going to and right to the top, which is what we saw in COVID. Like, we shut down, we started paying everybody money so that they could live, right? And all that money, because most businesses were shut down, all that money went through the economy to these corporations, boop, up to the top again. And it stayed there. It still hasn't come back down. It's still up there with the rich people. And we have Republicans saying, like, inflation is because we're printing money. Well, yeah, kind of. But the reason we have to print money is because these fuckers won't give it back. Because we have a system that sucks so bad that they're allowed to just keep all that money. There's no incentive for them to push that money back into circulation.
So let me ask you a question.
Did that make sense, though?
Much of what you said made some sense.
Okay.
Now, let me ask you a question. Why is it that the largest wealth holders in the country vote Democrat?
I don't know. You'd have to ask them. Probably because they vote with their conscience.
No.
How do you know? Have you asked them?
If you take a look,
we're just taking guesses here, right? Like,
no, the bombers. If you look at the
well, what about Elon? What about Elon? He's the richest person in America.
Well, right now he happens to be a conservative voice, but the reality of it is in most.
What about like the Koch brothers? They do pretty well.
They're not even close in the
yeah. So what the point is that, like, I understand what you're saying, but now you're making this partisan versus like economic. I don't think that the Republicans are alone in allowing this system to exist. We also have moderate Democrats and corporate Democrats who also feed into this system and don't do a damn thing to fix it. This isn't a Republican and Democrat problem. It's a problem with trickle-down economics. It doesn't work. So I have the same problem I have with the totality of Republicans. I also have problems with the Democrats who still support this.
But it's the greatest economy in the world, so it is working. It just happens to leave some people in poverty, and that's the reality of it.
Yeah, but the reality of it, but the reality of it is that we also had the greatest. Hold on. We've had the greatest economy before, and we didn't leave this many people in poverty, and we didn't allow the wealth at the top to be hoarded. Now, let me ask you this question: how do we, if the wealth, we both agree, the wealth just goes to the top and it stays there, and we have to keep printing money and devaluing our dollar in order to take care of people at the bottom? At what point does it become an oligarchy?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, Nick Hanauer once said, you guys know who Nick Hanauer is? I'm sure you do. He was a guy who got really lucky. He had a trust fund with about $5 million in it. He happened to be an initial investor in Amazon, did a pretty cool thing with a .com business that he ended up selling to Microsoft for about $5 billion. The reality of it is he was a big pusher of $15 an hour wages in the state of Washington as a minimum wage. And it was a pretty good effort on his part to get there. He's a Democrat, pretty good thinker. But the reality of it is he said, dude, I can only buy so many pairs of jeans. Like I can only wear, I only can wear one pair of jeans a day. I can't go out and buy 300 pairs of jeans with the money that I have. What do I do with it?
Exactly. Why should he get that much money? You're proving the point. A guy built a business because he had an idea, and a bunch of people helped him work on this business. He built this business up, and then somebody came in, a bunch of rich people who wanted to consolidate wealth and consolidate the money. A bunch of VCs gave him money so that they could have his product, so they could continue to consolidate this wealth. And he walked away going I have so much money, I can't even do enough good with it. That's a bad system, dude. That shouldn't exist. Why should somebody get lucky and have more money than they could ever spend?
So I'd love to hear an idea from the Democratic Party on how you're going to solve that.
Perfect. So what you do is you have a cap. I would say 10 million. I'm going to be very, very kind. Every dollar after $10 million, you are taxed at 90%. You have a 90% rate of tax after $10 million. 90 cents out of every dollar
You
goes
worry that
back.
stifle investment.
Hold on, and I'll explain this. So you have the tax set there. What you do is you offer incentives, right? You say, like, if you know that you're going to be taxed for every dollar over 10 million that you make, what are you going to do? You're going to probably put that back into your business, right? So suddenly you might say, like, you know what? We're going to take care of all your health care. Or, you know what? We're going to pay our workers $30, $40 an hour instead of 15. We're going to have a business where people earn a living wage. You're then incentivized, because if you're only getting 10 cents out of every dollar over 10 million, you might just be incentivized to say, like, you know what? I'm not going to keep this money anyways, because people are naturally selfish. When we see money, we're going to keep it. So I'm naturally selfish anyways, but I can either take this as profits or I can restructure my business so everybody is elevated. And that's what happened. So how old are you?
54.
Okay, so this is when your parents grew up. Your parents grew up, and in some ways, like, part of your life was during the era where we had really, really, really progressive tax rates that were high on high income earners. And what you saw is your parents, no matter what your parents did, no matter what your dad did for work, he was going to be able to support his family. Regardless, he could have been a janitor, he could have been a school teacher in any city. He was going to be able to support his family if he had, like, a regular full-time job. And that's because the money there was an incentive, and you would retire with benefits. You would have a pension. There was incentive to take care of your workers, because at some point you couldn't collect any more wealth. It was too hard to get that amount of wealth. Now, I'm saying in a fair system, like, does anybody in this country need to make more than $10 million a year? Is there a reason somebody should be a billionaire while, like, hundreds of thousands of people are on the streets? Probably not.
I would say that there's going to always be a delta, and 10 million may not be the number, but there is ways to tackle it. As an example, the estate tax, transfer tax, gift taxes. One of the problems with those at this point in time is that when at the levels that they have those at, is if a person passes on a business that, let's say, is worth $10 million today, right? The only person who's able to buy that is somebody who has more capital access than the person.
Right.
So the place that you need to be like as an example, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is a great example of a tax exempt entity that is leveraging Bill's wealth and tax free, trying to do good with it in the grand scheme of things.
Sure.
But the reality of it is exactly one of those things where a tremendous amount of wealth is just sitting.
Yeah.
Idle.
Yeah.
Tremendous amount of wealth is, geez, in the city of Seattle, or actually state of Washington, we're spending $66,000 per year per homeless person.
That sounds wrong.
It's right. It's crazy.
How is that? Where's that money going?
That's the problem. As an example, with the King County Task Force that we have for homelessness, there's over 100 people making, I think it's over $95,000 a year in administrative costs to manage it. So it's the homeless. Yep. It's the homeless industrial complex is the best way to describe it.
I don't know do you know where that number comes from? That sounds wrong, but it could be
it's
right.
public. You can look it up.
Well, I know it's public. Obviously it's public. You got it. Do you know where it comes from? Is what I was wondering.
Where the source of funds is?
No. Where did that number? How did they come up with that number of 66,000? Like I searched.
Oh, if you divide it by the amount of people that are homeless in the city based upon the last counts and those that they've put into housing, that's the number.
Oh, okay. So to house the people that they have housed, that's not a great number though,
Dude,
right?
that's a big number.
That's not that indicative of.
That's just 2x. That's two and a half.
But that's just
minimum wage.
That's indicative that it's not working, right? Because it doesn't actually cost 66,000 for each person. Like it wouldn't cost 66,000 for each person. You're saying these are the people we got into homes. This is how much we invested. That would show an inefficient system. But again, the number one drive. Do you know what is the number one indicator of homelessness when that rises? When that number rises?
What are you going to tell me?
It's when your either your rent or your mortgage takes up more than 32% of your income. Every percentage point over 32% significantly increases homelessness. That's why you see it in places like Seattle that are very expensive. San Francisco, LA, San Diego.
Those places are not a result of that. Homelessness in this situation is drug and mental illness.
Yeah, those all go together. That's the thing.
They absolutely do, but they're the biggest drivers.
Hold on. So here's what happens when people can't afford to can't afford to live anymore. Generally speaking, like that's a slow process, right? They slowly go into debt. They get depressed. Their mental health struggles. If they work at a job where they don't have access to mental health, they're not going to get the help they need. Or even if they do, it doesn't matter. They see that there's nothing they can do. The debt just spirals, right? Then you see a lot of people wind up either they had prescribed drugs and they lose their health insurance and they're on the street getting the drugs, or they're like, man, I'm going to try this drug because like this sucks. Like my life sucks. All of them are together. Like drug use goes up, homelessness goes up, mental health declines. With every percentage point, you go over 32%. All of these things are related.
The biggest driver of homelessness is drugs and mental illness.
Can you cite a source for that?
I'd take a few minutes to go and look for one. I'll send you one in a DM.
But you understand, so the only indicator that they can tie statistically to, and you understand, like if you can't afford to live in your home,
the safety nets for those issues are far greater than what you're suggesting right now.
What's that?
The safety net for the issues that you just talked about.
I'm not advocating for a safety net. I'm advocating for a better system that doesn't leave people in this position. Now I do want universal health care. I think that's important.
So I mean, the reality of it is, if you think about it, like you as a business owner and me as a business owner, we should be focused on selling something, building something, employing people. Why do we have to become experts in healthcare? Why does one of our biggest expense items have to be healthcare? It shouldn't be.
Because it's allowed to operate as a market. It's not it doesn't operate correctly in a free market because it's not technically a free market.
I'll tell you where it's not. Deregulated.
Let me finish. No, it's not. It's not about deregulation. That's so silly. No, it's not, because it's not. And let me explain why. When you go into the hospital, are you married?
I am.
Is there a number that they would tell cost to save your wife's life that you wouldn't agree to, and a cost to save your wife's life you wouldn't agree to?
No. Nope.
Okay, so it's not a free market, right? Right. So that's why healthcare should not operate as a for-profit system. And again, I mentioned this number earlier, but when the healthcare companies look at their profits for the year, they take 96% of it and enrich themselves, and 4% goes back into the business. We're literally paying these healthcare companies, like the CEO is making like $20-30 million. Why does that CEO need to make $30 million off of the backs of the lives of American people? It's not something that should operate as a for-profit system. That's the problem we have with healthcare. And it will always be the most expensive it can possibly be, because they want to collect every single cent that they can. So it's always going to be literally at the top that it possibly can be before they start losing money. And if they do start losing money, then they might drop it a little bit, but it doesn't operate like a normal market. Like it's not like a grocery store where you go to one grocery store and an apple is like, it's $1.19 a pound, and you go to the next one and it's $450,000 a pound. Right? Like, but if there's only one store with one apple and you need that apple to save your life, you're like, fuck it, I guess like I'll just mortgage my house. Right? It doesn't operate correctly. So if you deregulate it, it will be worse. When you're talking about healthcare insurance, because you're then relying on people to do the right thing. You're relying on people to not be profit driven. And what business have you ever worked in that wasn't including my own, where you think I wanted to take less money? I certainly didn't. But I had to. We had no choice. We could either lose our workforce or take less money. We're like, we got to take less money.
Well, you're
incentivizing people to take the most money possible.
That's the
What's
kind of the
that?
point I was making. You are limited by the price that a consumer is willing to pay for your product. And if
But
you
you're
have to
not in
increase-
healthcare.
No, but across the board with what we were talking about earlier. So as I said to you, as taxation goes up at the corporate rate, you have to pass that on to your customers or you have to eat it. That's how it impacts the consumer. It impacted
No. So this is where we're having the disconnect. Wait, hold on, stop. This is where we're having the disconnect. I'm talking about income tax. I'm not talking about corporate tax. I'm talking about personal income tax.
Okay, but I was talking about corporate tax. It impacts all of us.
But I was only talking about raising the taxes on income.
Okay, see, I was talking about across the board.
Okay, now I'm fine. There's some corporate taxes I'm fine, like especially in the financial markets and especially on like these tech companies that largely operate tax-free. I don't like all the subsidies they're given. I'd be fine just removing the subsidies first and seeing where we're at. But I was talking about income tax.
Okay. Hey, with that being said, man, I love your lives, and I'm going to disconnect because I got to run, and I'd love to talk to you again.
Anytime, fun. Brother. Be well.
Right. Take care. Bye.
All right. Let's see. 220, not quite there. Cal. Cal may not still be here. Thank you. All right, we'll go to Jennifer. 9 minutes, everybody. Nine minutes before chaos. 8 minutes. Jennifer might not be here. No, I thought Rudy was good faith, honestly. I understand, like, that's kind of the conservative argument. I thought Rudy was really good faith, to be honest. That was a good discussion. I forgot the name here. Bobby.
How you doing?
Good, Bobby. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
I've enjoyed your conversation. We disagree.
Cool.
But
that's what I'm looking for. It's perfect.
I figured that. But I'll tell you why we disagree.
Okay.
I think a lot of problems in today's Democrats, and this is just in people in general, no matter what it is that, for instance, you made a statement concerning the wealth of an individual should not be able to make $20 billion. I personally think that when it comes to a private person, that's none of my business. So if they make $20 million or $20 billion, that's their business. That's what they decide to do.
But it's kind of your business, right?
Excuse me?
It's kind of your business, though, right?
It's not, though, because I think that
who owns that? Whose money is that?
An individual to decide what you want to make and what you want to do with your money.
Now, but whose money is that, though?
It doesn't. It's their own money if they earn it.
Whose name is on that money?
Well, listen, if you want to play that game of making a category declaration,
it's not a game, right? So when you
I'm
have
just saying you're making it a game.
I'm not. Let me explain. When you operate, yeah. So when you create a currency as the government creates a currency, right? The reason that currency is available is so that you can encourage free trade. You can have markets, right? You don't necessarily have to, like, you're getting off of a bartering system. So you introduce that currency as a way for people to interact with each other, to make trade easier, and to allow people to pay for things quickly. It speeds up everything, right? So our government's like, all right, okay, this is how our economy is going to work. We're going to operate in this manner, and we're going to circulate this currency. And here's how much currency we think we need to circulate to keep everybody living and things going, right?
Correct.
So it's not something that we shouldn't have control over. It's not something that we shouldn't care about. Like, if there are inefficiencies in the system, if us circulating the currency, if we find inefficiencies where the currency stops circulating, it's incumbent on our government to fix that. The whole point of having that currency in there, the whole reason we do it is so that people can keep living, right? So if we find an inefficiency where it's stopping somewhere and not circulating, it's our job. That's our government's job, is to get it circulating again.
But are we not the government under our standard republic?
That's yeah. So that's what I was saying. So it is your business. It's my business. It's your business. It's everybody's business.
Listen, on that aspect, I agree with you. But what I'm talking about is the aspect of saying that you should put a limit on what a person should make, just like we put a bottom on what should with a living wage. When we say, and I'll give you an example, and this is a personal example. My father had a 10th grade education. He went through a system where he learned a trade, and then he went to refrigeration. In that trade, he became self-taught. He took classes.
Did he go to trade school?
He did not.
Okay, so how did he learn the trade?
Well,
Sorry, I might have missed
learned
that.
it through an apprenticeship, basically. He found a gentleman that was very well educated in South Florida concerning refrigeration, and then he just learned the trade, and then he started his own business down there.
Okay. What year was this in?
Pardon me?
What year was this in?
This is probably in the 1960s.
Okay, cool.
Okay, my dad died in 1991 from the complications of diabetes.
Sorry to hear that.
It's a part of life. Disease is a part of life, so it's a normalcy, a normal thing almost. Anyway, my point is this: I think individual achievement is made no matter what, no matter if it's the lowest person making a living wage, the achievement is there.
And you said, what did he do for trade? Sorry, one more time.
He was in air conditioning, refrigeration, commercial and private.
Got it.
He learned a trade. He took that trade and he did two things. One, he took care of his employees, and he did it based on what they could achieve for his business. So in other words, if you had the experience of an electrician and he needed an electrician, he would look at your work history, reference everything. It didn't matter what color you were. It didn't matter what your orientation was. He never asked. He didn't care anything about that.
Okay.
Okay. And then in 1979, he made $1 million on a ninth grade education, and he put it back into his company, and he did everything that you say that most individuals should do. Before workman comp became law, he always had a fund that if anybody got hurt on his job, he'd take care of them.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that.
So when your dad, by the way, when your dad made $1 million, and you said 1970, is that right?
1979.
1979. Well, that may be a little different. Let me take a look here. Do you know his tax rate was? I don't know if it took his top tax rate at that point. The top tax rate in the test out of the way. Everything
you
good?
pause.
Yeah, my test came through. There it is on my backup phone now.
Okay.
So your dad in 1979, when he made that money, the top tax rate was 83%.
Correct.
And it was dropped to 60%. And that's why your dad was incentivized to reinvest in his business. I'm sure your dad was. I'm sure he was great.
I would argue that the incentive is based on the individual, not what the government does. I think that's a mischaracterization of our institutions altogether.
Well, we've never seen it play. We don't see it play out that way then, because if what you were saying was true, then we would see we would see people hoarding wealth when the tax rate was higher. But we only see that we only see that now when the tax rate is lower. Sorry, there went his. He's on that cricket. We'll wait it out. There you go.
Hello?
I'm there.
Okay. I would say that we give two credits to government on that aspect, because you got to take the background of the individual and what they've learned. My dad's family, he was the middle child of 7. He had the awareness of being, first of all, a child of a sharecropper, as well, when his father got older, became a steel worker. So he came from.
So I don't mean to cut you off there, but I do want to stay on subject. Sorry, I don't mean to be rude, but what I'm saying, like you're saying that it's up to the individual. Maybe your dad would have done that regardless of what the tax rate was. But what we do know is statistically that's not true. Yeah. Statistically, people will pay the least amount of taxes that they possibly can.
And my
that's what they will do.
Yeah.
So we can look at your dad and we can say your dad is an outlier and your dad would have done the right thing no matter what. But statistically, people don't do the right thing no matter what. And that's why the tax rate needs to be higher, because what we were taught, what we were told by Ronald Reagan, is that we would cut the tax rates so that the rich would get really rich, and that would trickle down because people would do the right thing and it would trickle down. Well, we've done that for 40 years now. And what we've seen is the greatest transfer of wealth into the top 1% in the history of our country. We are now at the highest rate of wealth inequality that we've had since, I don't know if there's ever been a higher rate. I know in the last 100 years, when I looked, it's the highest. I don't know if we've ever had a higher rate. But statistically, trickle-down economics has not worked. And I appreciate the conservative idea that, like, hey, we want to take... One thing I like about conservatives is that they regularly talk about personal accountability, and I like that. I think it's important for us to tell each other, like, we need to be personally responsible. But it doesn't work to legislate personal responsibility. It doesn't work to say, like, hey, guys, we're gonna cut your taxes, and we know you'll do the right thing, because they won't. They're just not going to do the right thing.
That's still a catch-22. Because what you're saying is that a person does not have the foremost opportunity to be responsible. It's the same thing with any.
Sure, they do.
They do.
You're saying we have to give. Wait, hold on. Are you saying we have to give everybody the opportunity to do the right thing when they become rich?
Just like they succeed or fail.
What? Why? Why do we need to give everybody the opportunity to do the right thing?
Freedom. Just because you want a certain thing to happen does not mean it's going to happen.
That amount of freedom only applies to like 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% of 1%. You're talking now about a handful of people deciding the fate of everybody else in the country. We're talking about like 10 to 20 people deciding the fate for the rest of the country, and you're saying freedom.
I disagree with you. I don't
care, but that's statistically what I'm saying is true, though.
But the statistics is always tainted based on the
stop. No, they're not. Statistics aren't. What percentage of our? What statistic am I talking about?
Well, I'm speaking generally. I'm not speaking about any.
I'm speaking specifically, and that's what we do on this channel. Is we speak in specifics.
Well, be specifically about.
This is why I need you to listen. Is I understand what you're saying. I understand that what you believe and what you feel is real to you, but what you believe and what you feel are not working. It's not working. And you need to be a little more open-minded to this idea that I'm going to guess, sir, that you haven't studied economics, that you haven't looked at any of these numbers. So I'm just going to ask that you be a little more open-minded when we look at like your dad and we look at the generation that your dad grew up in. The middle class was the most robust it had ever been.
And why?
Why? Because there was no incentive to hoard wealth at the top. The top tax rate was like 90%.
Excuse me?
You could not get too rich in that era. You couldn't. And so that money stayed in circulation, and the middle class did better than ever before.
Well, we'll just have to agree to disagree. Because
no, you can't. No, we can't agree to disagree.
Why not?
Because statistically, that's when our middle class was the most robust.
See, you were talking earlier concerning.
Oh my God, dude! Do you not know this? No, this isn't why are you saying agree to disagree without a counterpoint?
Because
this is the problem that we have. You don't know. You actually don't know. Hold on. You don't know any of the numbers. And when I give you the numbers, you say agree to disagree just because you want to be hard-headed. You came on wanting to lecture. You're not here for a discussion. You just want to tell us about the things that you feel. But statistically, what you're saying is wrong. And if you had a better argument, you would give it to me. But you can't just say agree to disagree when somebody presents facts with you.
Is our republic based on individualism or the corporate entity? No matter if it's
neither. That's the dumbest fucking question.
Why not?
Neither.
Why is it dumb?
It's not based on the individual or the corporate entity.
If you believe in individual right, individual freedom, that means the individual decides what he or she wants to do with his money, no matter what.
Okay, then is that all? Is that all individuals or just rich? Is that all individuals or just rich individuals? Is that all individuals or just rich individuals?
It's all individuals.
Okay, so how many times, Bobby, has you or one of your friends went and sat down with members of Congress with a bill that you had already written and said, hey, pass this? How many times have you done that?
I've never done it.
Okay, do you know who has?
I do not.
A handful of fucking billionaires. So is that freedom? What about my freedom? Why do those billionaires have more freedom? Because they have more money.
Okay. Why do they have?
Why do? No, answer my question. Don't start your answer with a why. Why do those billionaires have more freedom than I do?
They had access. That's the common sense question. And
where did they get that access?
They had the access because they had the ability through the funds that they have.
Oh, because of the money.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if you allow people to hoard money and become billionaires, they get more influence and therefore more freedom, and they get more control. You are bootlicking billionaires while they're just like, hey, we're going to take control from you, Bobby. And you're like, good. I'm a Republican, and I know that I'm supposed to agree with this, so good. You guys write all the laws. We don't know anything anyways.
I don't agree with anyone using envy to justify anything.
Envy? This isn't envy, dude. This isn't envy. This isn't envy. This is literally saying a handful of people. This is not envy. Dude, calm down. No, stop it. You are a silly, silly goose. You are a silly goose. You're now ascribing feelings to what I'm saying because you agreed to what I said. You already agreed, you already agreed, Bobby, with what I'm saying, but you are too stubborn. You're not a humble man. You're not. Well, you're stubborn. You're learning things right now for the first time, and your knee-jerk reaction, because you know I'm a liberal. Your knee-jerk reaction is to argue with me and ascribe motives. That the reason I'm saying this is because I'm envious of those people. No, the reason I'm saying this is because it fucks me and it fucks you and it fucks everybody else.
Never be able to make $1 billion.
Correct, and then I explained why they shouldn't be able to make $1 billion, and it's because they wind up with too much power and too much influence.
When you limit the prospect of anyone making an amount of money, no matter how much it is, okay, and you say this should never be, okay, you are putting a restraint on individual freedom.
Which we did. We do that. First of all, Bobby, we did that for the fucking entirety of our country from 1776 up until like 1984. We fucking did that. And we grew. We were huge. We were massive. We became a world power. And we still do it. We still have limits. The limits are just lower. So what the fuck are you talking about? We have limits. You can't. No, you have to pay taxes. That's a rule in this country. You have to pay taxes. There's a limit to how much you can make. But you are bootlicking people who pay no taxes, who have billions of dollars and write all of our laws, and they pay zero in taxes. And you're like, this is a good system. I'm just down here. Just bootlicking.
Everyone pays taxes.
No, they don't. No, they don't. Hey, bad news, Bobby. No, they fucking don't. Because billionaires, they have access to give themselves. No, because shush. You're going to learn again, Bobby. So billionaires, people who run these big organizations, they have the ability, because of their business, to hide all their expenses and write off all their expenses or put the expenses in a business's name, and they pay zero in taxes. That's how Donald Trump made like hundreds of millions of dollars one year and paid $750. Our system is set up for them, and you're bootlicking it, dude. Like, why are you defending billionaires? What are they doing that's good for us? Writing shitty laws? I muted you. You'll have to unmute. Oh, no, I shouldn't have muted. I shouldn't have muted a boomer. Sometimes I don't know. You're going to have to unmute, Bobby. Bobby, there's a mute button. You're going to have to you're going to have to click the unmute there, Bobby. Oh, Bobby! You gotta unmute, Bobby. Oh, no. Yeah, I can move it. Sorry about that. Bobby! Bobby! You gotta unmute, bud. Bobby! Somebody just call me a silver fox? How dare you? Why? Because I have a little... Are you guys seeing the gray? Fuck, I thought I hit it. Yeah, Bobby. Well, give me 1 second. I'm going to turn on my fan here while Bobby figures this out. I'll be right back. Bobby! You got to unmute, Bobby! You got to unmute, brother. We can do it. We can do it together, Bobby. We can do it, Bobby. We can do this together. I know we can do it, Bobby. I'm back. Is Bobby back? Bobby's still fucking muted. God damn it, Bobby's still muted. We did our best. We did our best. Sorry, Bobby. You can come back up later. I feel bad about that. I apologize, Bobby. You're welcome to come back up if you'd like in a second. Let's go to just want to make sure everybody that's in the box is opposition. I don't have the ability to tell somebody that to get out of the box because I'm a coward. Just need to know. All right, Jennifer, you're next. Thanks for waiting. Was that Ricky Bobby?
Hi.
Hi, Jennifer. How
Can
are
you
you?
hear me?
One,
Hi,
yes,
good.
loud and clear.
So I'm sorry, I'm opposition and not, but I moved from Phoenix to Idaho.
I'm sorry.
And I fell in love with the Trumper.
Oh no.
And so my life is literally watching your live. And
What part of
Bobby
Idaho did
is
you
my
go to?
boyfriend's. Idaho Falls.
Oh God. Hey, I was
I'm from Phoenix, so-
conceived in Idaho Falls. I was made there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I grew up in Phoenix, so like big city girl, liberal, fighting the red the whole time. Fell in love with the Trumper, and it was rough. And we broke up over the abortion law and all that. Bobby reminds me so much of him. And honestly, the more you talk to them, the more not slowly, you argue like you do, and you keep pointing out to them how they're being hurt by this. They're so afraid of losing their freedom, so they live in a bubble for so long. They hear buzzwords they don't understand. But honestly, I've learned a lot too, and I've changed a little bit of my viewpoints on a lot of things because I've learned to listen a little bit.
Well done.
Thank you. And I will get out of your box because I know I'm not opposition, but I
That's
will
all
say
right.
that Bobby is quite literally the things he was saying, and I would get so frustrated, and I'd call my boyfriend a billionaire bootlicker, and we'd get in big fights, and I would get so mad. And he worked for a dude probably has $1 billion. He just bought a mountain, Jackson. And he worked up there, and he built homes for him, multi-million-dollar homes. He made good money, but he would sit there and watch the owner just his income increase. And he just quit his job because he's like, I'm done making him money. I'm done. And I'm like, I think I'm getting through. I think
There you
I'm
go.
getting through to him. So
Well done.
keep the good fight. Keep the good
got a
fight.
semi-liberal now. Well done, Jennifer. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey,
Okay.
Best of luck to you
All right,
there
have
in
a good
Idaho
day. Thank
Falls.
you.
See ya.
Thank you. Bye.
What is this? Somebody find yourself a leftist. They're amazing. All right. Bald 26. Welcome. That's a fair question for Jennifer. How did you fall in love with a Trumper? How did that happen? Hey, Bob. How you doing? Hello, friend. That sounded oddly like a fart. That did sound like a fart. I don't know if it was or wasn't, but... All right, Bob. No. Love you. I don't know what that was about. Mitchum Supreme, something like that. When did? Hey, Mitch.
Ooh.
You got to get to fifth period, Mitch.
No, man, I'm on my lunch break, brother.
It sounded like the...
It is, man. I'm a teacher on my lunch break. So.
Oh, cool. Welcome.
Yeah, I want to be very clear about that before anybody accuses teachers of not doing their job. I'm on my lunch. It's my time. I do what the hell I want.
They don't pay you shit anyways. We don't care. Do whatever you want. Yeah.
Hey, man, I'm not oppositional, but I do want to just add a little flavor to some of what you were trying to tell that dude, Bobby, for anybody that's listening.
Sure.
When a guy like that steps up, and there's a lot of people in that boomer generation who feel this way because they watch their parents accumulate wealth. And for many of them, their grandparents were born in and around the Depression era. Their parents were, like my grandfather was, and the world was just very different, and people were very worried about losing what little they had. And then the FDR, solutions to these problems economically had a lot to do with, increasing taxes. And that was all as a result of the Gilded Age. You mentioned earlier, like, when has it ever been this much disparity? And I would say the last time we experienced something like this was in the Gilded Age, and there's no one living left that experienced it. So they don't remember. And history lessons in schools tend to gloss past some of that a little bit. And But most importantly, like, it is the very story that guy is telling about his father doing the right thing and accumulating wealth. People respond, and I'm an English teacher, and I think about story all the time. The personal stories they hear from their family members and their own personal stories are all most people can see. They have a hard time seeing beyond that. And that is what is leveraged by the wealthy and the elite in order to grab more power. Because what I can do, you can do too. And that's the greatest false statement, the greatest urban myth that is sold to folks like Bobby in order for them to buy in and get behind what they're doing. And it's really hard to overcome those storytelling boundaries, those barriers. And it's just really unfortunate that we can't move past that, because I'm in the middle of teaching seniors right now. We're in the middle of a unit about Orwell, and we've been talking a lot about like double speak and double think. And it is people like Bobby who fall victim to that third motto from Orwell's story: war is peace, freedom is slavery, and ignorance is strength. And we've been talking about how ignorance of strength is a double-edged sword, right? It cuts two directions. There's the ignorance of strength, as in, I'm a do me, and what takes care of me is what I need to be strong for myself. And it's hard to see beyond that. People like Bobby fall victim to that, because on the other side of that is a group who understands that your ignorance is their strength. And it's just really unfortunate. And I hope that folks like that can come around. I hope people like Bobby will listen to lives like this and maybe be confrontational with you now. But I'm betting Bobby goes back and thinks a little bit about some of what you said. He'll just never admit it because they don't have the humility for that.
That's a gutsy bet. I hope you're right. I hope you're right on that. But I appreciate it. And that definitely, the ignorance of strength. Like, I'm going to steal that. So if you hear that again, I'll try and remember to give you credit. But I'm going to steal that.
It doesn't belong to me, man. That's George Orwell.
Orwell's all right.
That's war is peace, freedom is slavery. That's Big Brother's motto they put in front of the people every day. And those things, each one of those cuts two directions. And if a room full of seniors can figure it out, a world of people can figure it out, because we are in probably like a major crossroads for our country right now. And this idea of what you're talking about with wealth and income taxes, it's super important for us all to consider, because you're right, wealth doesn't flow. It's trapped in the accounts of billionaires. I really loved your argument about how that money does belong to us. It's currency created by our government that's meant to flow and stimulate economy and make our lives better. And it's unfortunately being trapped in things. And something else I'd tell Bobby too, I was thinking about is, like, things worked out for your dad because we didn't have corporations who'd figured out how to find the loopholes quite yet in all the regulations that were set at the beginning of the 20th century.
Like there was no way for them. There was no way for them to come in and undercut, use their money. They weren't buying up every competitor that they had. Like, it was a different time. You could run your own business. You could do well. You could do really well. But you didn't do billionaire well. Yeah.
Anytime somebody does well now, somebody with a giant corporation and a group of investors comes in and says, "Oh shit, that's working for them. I'll just offer them a lifetime of wealth that they've never imagined they can make, and I'll buy their product from them so that I continue to make money off of it, and they're satisfied that they've made more money than they ever thought they would make by me buying their business." And that kills the wealth right there. You get a lump sum of money that you can no longer grow, and you're going to be living with that, and it's going to feel great to you for a while. But ask a fuck ton of athletes who made millions of dollars on their athletic contracts through the years, who have none of it left, how that went for them to get lifetime wealth and then to find yourself spending it all up because you don't know what to do with all this money you were just handed.
Yeah.
And you ultimately end up just giving it right back to the very people who just bought your business from you. They know that if they give you that money, they're just going to get back from you in some other way.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, right. I'll get out of your way, man.
Appreciate it. Hey, enjoy your lunch. Great job teaching those kids. I'm glad that they have you.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it, dude. This is the first time I've seen one of your lives, and I'm very impressed by the way you talk to people, dude. Just letting them know that you're listening and you're understanding is in most cases really helpful, because it does make discussion richer when we do that. So thanks,
I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, Mitch. We'll see it. Mitch, saving one kid at a time there. Those are the kind of teachers we need. All right, Paul, you're up next. Hey, Paul.
Oh.
Hi, Paul.
Oh, you there?
I'm right.
All right.
Are you there?
I am.
Thank God. We got this figured out. What's up, buddy?
All right. So let's talk about money and issues that are going on. Like all the money from McDonald's, all the profit they made, and split it between all their employees, it's not that much.
Okay.
It really isn't. So I don't know what you
Okay.
think you would actually be gaining besides maybe, $1,000 per person.
Oh. Well, I'm not advocating that we take all of McDonald's money and give it to their employees.
But even if you did, it still
Even
doesn't
if I
get
did
you
what?
to where the place I think that you want to be.
Well, I don't want to give all the money to the employees from McDonald's.
Well, how is the McDonald's paying more taxes going to help?
Well, so yeah, that's probably a better question. Again, we're talking about income tax, though, right? You understand the difference between income tax?
Yes.
Okay, what's the difference?
But no, you pay income tax on your income.
Yeah, so we're talking about personal taxes, right?
Right, but you
Okay,
also have
so that
deductions
wouldn't.
to make.
So, well, I would like to close a lot of those deductions, but if you have a cutoff at $10 million, and that's high, but let's say like at $10 million, for every dollar after $10 million, you have to pay 90 cents back to the government. Would that not? There's a couple things that this does. Number one, it incentivizes people. You're not going to see these giant corporations. What state do you live in?
Missouri.
Okay, Missouri. Do you live in a big town, small town?
I live in St. Louis City.
St. Louis City. Okay. You grew up there?
Didn't grow up here. Grew up in a small town.
Okay. So in that small, where you grew up, is there a Walmart?
Yes.
Okay. Before Walmart, what did you have? Grocery stores? So there was like a local grocery store
Yeah,
there?
there was a grocery store at the end of our block that we lived at. A small little store.
Where's that grocery store now? Is it still in existence?
Oh, no, it's gone.
Okay.
It's way
What about
gone.
like tire shops?
Tire shops?
Yeah, do you have like a tire shop
I mean,
there?
there's some in the area. I don't know if there's a specific tire shop. I haven't lived there in
Yeah. So the
26 years, but yeah.
The point is this. So I grew up. I can just give you my example. So I grew up in like a relatively small town, but it was suburban, and we had 2 grocery stores, and we had 2 tire shops, and we had some other small business like a Radio Shack. There was a place that was like Radio Shack. When Walmart came in, everybody got excited. And Walmart came in because prices were going to be lower. You could buy everything in one place. And slowly but surely, all these businesses that Walmart was competing with, they went under. Every one of them. And they went under because Walmart could come in. They could afford, because they had so much buying power, they could afford to sell things for less. They paid less. And they could afford, like if they had like some losing months, they could weather that storm. So when you allow these people like the Waltons, for example, in Walmart, to get as wealthy as they are, they have an unfair advantage. And what they do is they just collect wealth along the way. So all these people that maybe like the person who ran the grocery store where I grew up, they just ran it out. Like they're like, we're not going to sell. We're not just going to close the door when things are going well. They basically just ran it into the ground. And people who went from living a very, very good life, a nice middle-class life. They employed a lot of people that we knew. Basically, everybody worked there when they were in high school that wanted to, and they wound up going from like making a good living to making no money. When all that money was going into Walmart, nobody at Walmart's making good money. They're all getting minimum wage. Their managers are making shitty money for managers, and all that money just has to funnel to the top, and then it has to pay off investors too. So because there was no limit on Walmart, there was no limit on the owners when they started Walmart, they just kept collecting wealth and collecting wealth and collecting wealth. And they go city by city and they dry up these local economies. They siphon all the wealth. They take the money out of that community into Walmart and they siphon it upwards, and then they hold on to that wealth. Where eventually, like for some reason, it was really important that we let all these grocery stores, all these tire centers go under. All these people that were business owners, they're now working for somebody else because they couldn't afford to run their own business. Now they don't exist because the Waltons needed to buy the Denver Broncos for cash.
Yeah, but every time Walmart expands somewhere, are they not creating jobs?
Shitty jobs.
And I'm not
Yeah,
talking about the
jobs.
Walmart job.
No, but shitty
I'm
jobs.
talking about, well, who builds Walmarts? Shitty paying people
Yeah, but it's a temporary job, right? Like, so in your town.
Most jobs are temporary. All construction jobs are temporary.
Well, hold on, but that's a one-time cost that the town is getting. Towns don't operate on like a one-time job. It's an economy. It's a local economy. And when Walmart comes in, they turn the local economy into like Walmart just becomes the local economy. They literally hijack your entire economy. And so they undersell, and the people are kind of happy about that at first, but slowly but surely you see in these towns like the money dries up. We spend $1 billion as a country subsidizing Walmart workers because we have to give them food benefits, right? Because they don't make enough to cover their food. And as part of their training for Walmart, they learn how to get food benefits. Now, do you think it's really important that the Waltons own an NFL team and have more money than they can ever spend? Is that important? Does that help anybody at all?
Now you hit a nerve with me, and I'll just because I don't like the Waltons. I don't like Stan Kroenke. There's an obvious reason for that. And are you an NFL fan?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know why that St. Louis hates Stan Kroenke and
is that who moved the Rams?
yes,
Okay, gotcha.
it was his team.
Okay, but again, like
But
to stay on topic here, like
all right.
if you look at the value of NFL franchises and NBA franchises and sports franchises, they've skyrocketed in value. They're in the hundreds of billions. Do you know why?
But
But do you know why?
It's a false value.
Because people can afford it. That's why. The
If it's a
fact that
false-
there
it's
are
a false
people that can
value.
there are people in this country that can afford to spend $20 billion on a sports franchise, and at the same time 30 million Americans can't go see a doctor. It's a bad system.
But like I said, even if you took 100% of their money,
It's not about taking
gonna get you- It doesn't matter.
You see, you're misunderstanding the issue, and you know who provides these arguments. These are you know who would love to hear you make this argument is the Waltons. They want you to be apathetic. They want you to be like, oh, there's nothing we can do about it, so fuck it. Well, there is something we can do about it. And number one, we got to stop allowing monopolies to exist. We have to retake the money that we've allowed to siphon up. We have to do that. It's our money. Otherwise, we're just going to keep pumping money into the system. There is only one fix to printing money. One, and one only. The fix is not to stop printing money, because if we stop printing money, we're going to lose people, like millions of people. The only fix for us to stop printing money is to regain the money that's supposed to be circulating that isn't circulating, that's just sitting at the top. It's the only way we can do this. And for whatever reason, the Republicans have been so co-opted by big business that they have convinced millions and millions of people that like the problem is poor people, that the problem is people wanting health care, that the problem is people who want a living wage. And you never hear. And then if you criticize the Waltons, they're like, that's not the problem. This is America. No, America was not designed this way. If you designed a country, Paul, if you went like we started an island together, and there's 40 of us, and we would say like, okay, here's what everybody gets. We all get this amount of land. We can do whatever. You wouldn't advocate that one person would own 99% of the land, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, but like 1% of the
But if they gave me enough money, I would sell it to them.
Sell what to them? Well, yeah, but then what about you? So now let's talk about it. So let's say that you have enough money, or they have enough money that you sell it to them, and you've got kids, right? Now that landowner owns more land, and your kids have no land, and your kids have no prospects to buy land because you've sold everything you have of value to that corporation or to that other person, right? And then they go around and they buy land, and suddenly, like 10 years later, this one person owns 60% of the island, and all of your family has to work for him now, or her. Sorry, that's the boss now, right? You're forced to work for them, and you're forced to work for them for whatever fucking wages they want to pay you, right? That's what we've allowed to happen in this. That's what we've allowed to happen here.
That.
Yeah.
But do you know how these companies grow and make money? Don't say just by sucking up all the resources. That's not. Any business owner knows the way to make money for your business is by volume, not screwing over somebody and saying, I mean, do you really feel ripped off when you order? No, wait. Do you really feel ripped off when you order something from Amazon? You're
No,
like, oh
but
man, I
no,
got
but the
screwed. They
people,
delivered
no,
it
but the
right to
people,
my
no, but
door.
the people, no, but the people working in a warehouse with no air conditioner that don't get bathroom breaks or water breaks, they feel a little ripped off that they're having to work for shit wages because they can't find a different job. Meanwhile, Jeff Bezos is taking vacations to the fucking moon.
It doesn't matter. Why
It doesn't
does that
matter.
again? If you take
So
all of
are you
Jeff
saying?
Bezos'
Wait. So Paul,
money,
are you saying? Paul,
take
are you
all of
saying
Bezos'
these?
money,
Paul,
make him
Paul,
zero.
no, Paul, that's not what we're even advocating for. Amazon could still exist. We could still have this, but it wouldn't be allowed to operate in the way that it does. You could have different delivery hubs that were owned individually where they could get the goods out. All of this stuff could exist without Jeff Bezos sucking all the money up to the top, without investors, without stock, without worrying about a stock price, right? They could pay people. You could pay people a living wage at Amazon. There's plenty of money for that. You could pay them benefits. There's plenty of money for that. There's plenty of money for all of this. But what you're saying is like you're willing to just give away our country to a few oligarchs because at the moment they're providing you goods and services that are convenient and cheap.
How
What
am I giving
happens?
away
What
the-
happens,
how am I giving
Paul?
away the
Paul,
country
what happens?
if
Paul,
I
what
say
ha-
take all their
well, I'm
money?
going to explain. I'm going to explain. What happens, Paul, when these oligarchs own everything?
What do you mean?
What happens when they own everything? What happens
They're
when
not
they
gonna
have
own-
all?
they're not gonna
What
own
happens when they have
everything.
all the money?
They're not going to own everything. Most people are employed.
Are you sure? You
by
ever heard
small
of You
business.
ever heard of Vanguard?
Most people are employed by small businesses.
Yeah, I understand that, but and what are these big corporations doing, or like investment groups like Vanguard and BlackRock? What are they doing?
Yeah, I own some Vanguard.
Yeah, they're buying up small and medium-sized businesses, aren't they?
Well, it depends what they do.
Of course, it depends what they do. But do you really think that Vanguard and BlackRock's eventual goal is not to own everything possible?
Right. Look at Anaheim.
Okay.
I know, but look at Anaheim.
So why are you
Busch.
making
They
it? So
bought
why would
every
you? So
deer.
why would you make it easy for them? Why are you getting out of the way and being like, hey, let's make sure not to tax these people. Let's make it easy for them to buy everything up.
The country is moving in a direction that
Paul,
even if
Paul,
you
Paul,
even
stay
if
on.
you don't
Paul,
listen.
Paul.
Wait.
Here's the thing, Paul. This is what you can't. Paul, you've seen this. I don't know how long you've been here, but you've seen other people do this too. This is a time, Paul, for you to have an honest discussion and not knee-jerk react to like defending republicanism. So I'm asking you specific questions. I'd like specific answers. Do you think Vanguard and BlackRock are going to stop trying to obtain everything?
Well, I don't know what you mean by everything.
Businesses. Do you think there's going to be a time when they'll say, yeah, we own enough businesses. We own enough of these businesses. Or do you think they're going to keep going?
No, I think they would eventually stop. Look,
Why? Why would they? Why would they eventually stop,
It has
Paul?
to be profitable for them.
Well, it is profitable for them if they own everything, right? So why would they stop if it's profitable?
Give me a specific business that they bought, or they're looking to buy.
So Vanguard, well, it's BlackRock specifically bought a company that I used to work at called Vivint. It was a
What
home
did they do?
security. It was a home security, and now they're also one of the biggest like solar providers.
And they're the biggest solar provider.
They're one of them, like residential solar.
So they're getting government subsidies, right?
Of course. And guess who's
Of
benefiting from that?
course.
And guess who's benefiting from that?
Well, the
Vanguard.
company, of course.
Vanguard.
Well,
So they're going in and they're buying these businesses where you and I, the government subsidy means like that you and I, Paul, the non-billionaires, are subsidizing their business. They're making money hand over fist, more money than they could ever spend, and they're being subsidized by us. Seem like a good
All right,
idea, Paul?
I'll make you a deal. If we stop government subsidies, I'm all for it. I don't want government
bad
subsidies. I
news.
hate government subsidies.
Well, then stop voting for Republicans.
No, what are you talking about, man?
Do you know? What do you mean? What am I
What are
saying?
you
Do you think
talking about?
Republicans? Do you think Republicans
Every-
aren't? Do you think Republicans oppose government subsidies?
Democrat. Are you kidding me? Every
Do you think?
what?
No. Do you
Democrats
think
don't
that?
own
Wait.
big
Do you think
businesses?
Wait. Hold on. Do you think Republicans oppose government subsidies?
No, nobody opposes them. Not the Democrats either.
Well, there's a lot of Democrats that do, and if
Oh
you
my
vote
God.
for very,
No,
and if
they're
you no, there are, and if you vote for really
They're not.
progressive, Paul, with all due respect, like you don't know what the fuck you're talking about if you say that. If you honestly think that there are Democrats, that there's not a good number of Democrats who oppose subsidies for corporations, then you literally don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and you should go
There's-
read more.
there
Like
are
you're out of your
Democrat
fucking mind if
billionaires.
you believe that.
There are
Paul,
Democrat billionaires,
Paul,
Mr.
listen
Nye.
to the Paul, listen to the words that I'm saying. Okay, don't just react with shit you've heard. There are Democrats, a good amount of Democrats, who oppose government subsidies. Katie Porter, Bernie Sanders, AOC. Can you name
Well,
some Republicans that oppose
If you're
government
saying
subsidies?
there's a lot of them.
Well,
If you're saying a lot
you want me to make a list? No, I didn't say there were a lot. I said there are some, and you should vote for people who oppose government subsidies. But I'm going to go ahead and guess, Paul, that you're a Trump guy. I'm going to guess.
I did vote for Trump, but I'm not.
And
a
you
Trump
would vote
guy
for him
too.
again, right?
No, I will not. I will not. I
So
already
you'll
said
vote.
that.
You'll vote for Joe Biden.
No.
Okay, so if it's Joe Biden and Donald Trump, you're just going to take the pussy way out and not vote?
No, I'll vote for third party.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Hey, Ross,
if it had to be one or the other, it would be.
No. We're not going to play that game. If
Of course
you
you're not gonna play that
understand-
game.
How old are you? How old are you?
I'm 37.
Okay. So, do you remember Ross Perot?
I do remember Ross Perot.
Okay, Ross Perot helped Bill Clinton get elected.
I don't care. This is not related to what we're talking about at all.
So
No, we're going.
another
No, I don't
third
care.
party can do
Paul,
some damage.
Paul, shushies. I don't care about that. I want you to. I want you to explain to me why, like, you think it's okay for these billionaires to hoard wealth. We're going to get back on subject. We're not going to talk about Ross Perot. Who cares about Ross Perot? Nobody cares about Ross Perot.
But that was my first vote when I was.
Well, I don't care about your history. I want to know why you think that, like, why you're just like bootlicking for billionaires.
I'm not bootlicking for anybody.
Okay,
I
then
just
why
said
wouldn't
I
you? Why
wanna-
wouldn't you
Again, I did not say I wanna get rid of subsidies.
Why would you not support a tax policy that forces them to give some of that money back?
Again, take it all from them.
Oh, so you are in favor of taking all of the money from billionaires?
Yes.
Okay.
And let's see where we end up.
Welcome to the Democrat Party, my friend. It's nice to have you. It's good to
No,
have you. You're a little left.
let's
You're kind
see
of a
where we
lefty,
end
but
up.
welcome. It's good to have
No.
you.
The math doesn't work, but you know, you
What do
guys
mean
think
the
it
math
will.
explain the math to me.
Again, I could give instead of the millionaire CEO.
No, explain the math to me. Don't tell me a story. Explain the
And
math
I'm not
to
telling
me.
you a story. Do the math. Number of employees
You
at
just
McDonald's.
explain the math
Number
to me.
of employees at McDonald's.
McDonald's.
How many are there?
Well, McDonald's is a franchise, right?
But
there's
they're still employees.
No, they're
McDonald's
not.
still employs them.
Shush. No, they don't. McDonald's does not employ the employees. The person who owns the franchise does.
Every McDonald's is not owned by a franchise.
I think they all are. They might not all be, but I think what percentage of McDonald's are owned by a franchise?
Well, yeah, but that's not the way it looks when you say, "Hey, what's McDonald's profit this year?" It doesn't say, "Well, this one made this
McDonald's. No, the McDonald's profit would be based on like their franchise fees. They also usually own the land that the building is on, so they charge a fee for the building, they charge a fee for the land, and they share in profits. When you're looking at McDonald's profits, you would be looking at their share of the profits and then like the amount that they're paying for the lease.
You could take any store, and we can go to a Walmart. You can go
Okay,
to
so
Target.
again, I've asked you to explain the math and not tell me stories, and you're like, I am doing the math, and then you're telling me a story, and now you're telling me another story. So could you explain the math?
I mean, I have to look it up again, but yeah, all you got to do is look up what was their net profit this year of any company, divided by the number of employees, and tell me how much that gives each employee if they took it all.
All right, let's look at the net profit of Amazon. Net profit, 134.38 billion. 134.38. Somebody remember that number for me?
That's not the gross profit, is it?
That's the net profit, 134.38. And then Amazon employees.
How many Amazon employees are there?
We were talking about full-time employees?
Doesn't matter. Employees.
Okay.
That costs money.
Why are you getting so upset? I'm asking you a question. Hey, Paul, calm the fuck down. I'm just asking you a question on what you want me to pull. So just calm down, okay? I don't know why you're getting so upset right now.
I'm not upset, but
okay. Well, you sounded upset.
Well, no, you guys always like, oh, they're only paying $8 an
All
hour.
right, somebody do the math for me. There's 1.5 million Amazon employees, and then the profit was 134.38 billion. Can somebody in the Discord do the math for me real quick? Just let me know what that would be per employee. Now, if this is a significant number, I assume that you're going to stop being a boot-looking Republican and start being a progressive, right?
No.
No, you're not, because you don't
I'm
give a
always
fuck.
going to be
Because
a Republican. I'm always going to be a Republican.
Yeah, exactly, Paul. This is the whole point. You don't know what you're talking about. You're remarkably uninformed, and you're remarkably confident about it. And you don't care what the facts are. You're just going to be a Republican. So why are you even here? Like you literally have no facts. You're just telling me a bunch of stories, and no facts would convince you to stop being a Republican.
I'm not telling you these stories.
Like, bro, dude, how old are you, Paul?
I'm 51 years old.
And at no point did anybody ever teach you about admitting when you don't know what the fuck you're talking about? It's about
no.
90,000, Paul, about 90,000 per fucking employee. 90,000 per employee, Paul. $90,000 per employee.
Okay.
Good math,
What
Paul.
happened?
How'd your math work out there, Pall?
What happens to the business?
How'd your math work out there, Paul?
What does a business do with no profit? They go out of business.
Oh, okay.
Jesus.
So what if they kept just
Here's your 90,000.
Shushies, Paul, before you get upset. So I'll make you a deal. They can keep half of their profits. They can keep $67 billion fucking dollars in profit, and they can give their employees $45,000 each. How about that, Paul? Quick math right off the top of my head. Would that be okay with you? No, I'm going to keep voting for Republicans because I'm told to vote for Republicans, and I don't really know anything, but I'm just going to sit here and be stubborn because I'm 51 years old, and I'm never going to learn another goddamn thing in my life. God, I can't wait till your generation goes away. You guys are so arrogant. You're so arrogant about knowing nothing. Like, why are you this confident when you know literally nothing?
Have you owned a business?
Yeah, 3 of them. How many have you owned, Paul?
A couple of them. Why?
Because you asked me, so I asked you, Paul. I'm doing great. I'm doing just fine, Paul. But again, Paul, dumb fucking question, Paul. Because what I said is that you refuse to learn new things. You just said that it wouldn't be possible, and I just showed that they can literally still get $60+ billion in profit and pay each employee $45,000 more per year, and you're like, well, I don't care because Donald Trump and my friends, we all are Republicans, and so we're just going to keep voting Republican, and we're going to keep sounding stupid, but I'm going to get off this call, and I'm not going to change a goddamn thing because I'm 51 years old, and I think my opinion's worth a goddamn.
Oh, boy.
Dude, you just got dog walked, dude. Like, I just showed you that Amazon could literally take $60 billion in profits and still pay everybody $45,000 more per year, and you're like, no. No,
I don't. The problem is that when you own a business.
Shut up, Paul. Paul, shut up. No, respond to what I'm saying. Shut up, Paul.
Shut up.
I've owned 3 businesses. Shut up, Paul. You shut up. You shut up, Paul. Don't change the subject because you don't know what you're talking about. Address what I just said. Address what I just said, Paul. Address what I just said, Paul. Address what I just said then. Don't tell me about when you own a business. I don't own Amazon. You didn't own Amazon. You and I both know nothing about running Amazon. The principles change on what you do when you operate a business based on the size of your business and the industry you're in. Being a business owner does not make you an expert on other businesses. It makes you an expert maybe on running your business, or you could have just got lucky. But just because you owned a business doesn't mean you know what you're talking about, Paul, which has been very clear from like the second you jumped on here.
Dude, you pay more than just the salary of someone. You understand that, right? And when you have millions of employees,
okay, so let's do universal health care then, and then we're good. This is the Paul. You goddamn potato. You almost got me there. You goddamn potato. Remember when you said, Paul, at the beginning of this, you're like, make sure it's net profits. Well, all the shit you're talking about wouldn't be included in net profits, would it, Paul?
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't, would it, Paul? It wouldn't be in net profits, would it, Paul?
Why don't you do another
Paul,
business?
Paul, would that
Do
be in
another
net
business.
profits? Paul, would that be included in net profits or no?
No, it would not.
Paul got dog walked and won't
No, I
admit
did
it.
not. No, I
Paul
didn't.
doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Oh, I think I do.
What do you know, Paul? Tell me something else you know.
Well, you want to talk about healthcare?
You want to get walked on that? That's one of my best ones. I'm going to guess you don't know a goddamn thing about that either, so we can keep it going if you'd like. Tell me about healthcare, Paul. Tell me all
I don't know
about
anything
it.
about it.
Tell me more about healthcare, Paul.
I don't know anything about it. You have no idea why the hospital charges what it does, do you?
Yeah, I do, Paul. You want to walk through it?
Now, go tell me. Tell me how you think the hospital charges you for a procedure.
What do you mean how they charge you?
How much they charge you? Do you know how much? Do you know why?
Which
how much they
procedure,
charge
Paul?
you?
Which procedure,
Any
Paul?
procedure. It doesn't matter what
Any
procedure.
procedure. They charge the same for every. They
price.
charge the
I'm
same for every
asking-
procedure. The markup is the same on
No,
every procedure.
no, you're not listening to me. What I'm saying.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what really happens, Paul. So they charge the maximum amount that they possibly can, and it depends on the insurance. It depends on the insurance company that they're dealing with. Like for me, like when I had my child, I paid cash, so it cut my bill in half when I said I was cash pay. It paid half. They were going to charge the insurance company.
Right. Again, you didn't tell me how that's not true what you just said. Nothing is true of what you just said.
Literally everything I just said is true. What are you talking about? Do you know that they base their what they charge on the insurance company that they're working with? Do you not know this?
No, that's not true.
Okay,
either.
well, bad news, dude. My family owns my family owns multiple hospitals. Multiple.
They own multiple hospitals.
Multiple hospitals in Nebraska. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my uncle's like a renowned heart surgeon, and he owns multiple hospitals in Nebraska.
Great.
Yeah,
Great.
What did you?
That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
and by the way, I could bring up a bunch of people here in the healthcare industry, and they'll tell you this, or people that worked in medical billing, and they will tell you that a good hospital, a hospital that knows what they're doing, they charge different insurance companies different amount. They charge Medicare a different amount than they would charge a private insurance company.
Medicare is what they base it on.
Shut up. Respond to what I'm saying.
You shut up. You
No.
can't.
Respond to what I'm saying. Respond to what I'm saying.
If you're a millionaire and you walk
Changing
into
the
the
subject.
grocery store,
Changing the subject. There's no.
No,
Now we're in
listen,
grocery
if you are
stores.
a mil-
Now we're in grocery stores,
you're not
Paul.
listening.
Does your hospital
You're
have a
not
grocery
listening to what I'm
store?
saying.
Of
You're not
course I'm not,
listening to
because
what
you're
I'm saying.
changing the subject, you potato.
No, I'm making an analogy.
I bet it's
And
good.
it's
Go
gonna
ahead,
come
Paul.
right back
Go
to it.
ahead.
It's gonna be
Land the
perfectly
plane,
clear
sweetheart.
to you.
Land it.
If you're a millionaire,
Uh-huh.
a billionaire, and you
Uh-huh.
walk in and you buy a dozen eggs,
Uh-huh.
how much are they charging you for those dozen eggs?
Whatever the price of a dozen eggs is.
Correct. Guess what they're charging the poorest person for a dozen
The
eggs?
same amount.
Exactly.
But that's
You
not what
cannot-
happens in hospitals. Yeah,
Hospitals-
Paul.
hospitals
Hospitals are
cannot
not grocery
charge
stores.
more.
Yeah, Paul. This is the problem.
Hospitals
They're
cannot
fundamental. Yes, they can, Paul. Yes, they can. This is
No,
your
they
fundamental.
can't, and no,
Paul,
they don't.
You have a fundamental misunderstanding of how healthcare works. They literally
I think
charge
I know how
the
healthcare works.
most amount that they possibly can. And the cool thing about them is they can charge huge amounts because nobody's going to say no to how much something costs when it's about the life of a loved one. So it's not
That's
a
not
true. It's
true.
not a
That is
true.
not true.
It's not
That's
okay,
not
Paul.
true.
Are you married, Paul?
That would be illegal
Paul,
for
are
them
you
to
married,
charge you.
Paul?
If
Paul,
you
are
went
you
to
married?
an emergency room, no,
Paul, are you married? Paul, are you married? Paul, are you married?
Yeah.
Paul, are
If
you
you
okay?
and me-
So, Paul, when you go into the hospital and your wife has a procedure, and the doctor says, "Look, we can do this to save her life, but it's going to cost $5 million." Are you going to
Doctors
walk
don't
away
ever
and say,
say
"Let
that
it
to
go"?
people.
The
Doctors don't ever
hospital,
say that to people.
no, the hospital absolutely can say, like, this is how much it is, and you don't have health insurance. They absolutely do that. Happens all the time, Paul. There's another swing
If
and
you
miss
don't
for
have
you.
health
But
insurance, that's different.
So Paul,
That's
so
different
Paul,
if you have no
so
insurance.
Paul, so Paul, 30 million people don't have health insurance, by the way. So Paul,
Okay, well,
are you going to?
170
So
million
Paul,
do. So there you go.
so Paul, what number is too high for you to save your wife's life?
Oh my God! See, you've totally moved away from what I was talking about.
Paul,
Why
how
did you
much?
do that?
What is the number, Paul?
No,
before you're
you
not
moved
okay.
away.
Paul, what is the number? Paul, I'm running this discussion. You're just following along.
Why
loosely.
did you move away
Paul,
from my
how
discussion
much,
about
Paul,
how hospitals charge?
Paul, what is the number before you're not willing to pay for your wife's care?
What is the number?
Yeah, how much
Well,
are
no,
you?
no. How
How much
much are
money
you-
before you say just let her go?
Well, if I can get $1 million or several $1 million, because
Well,
lawsuits,
they're
man,
gonna
that's what your life's worth.
they're gonna charge you for it either way, right? They're just gonna garnish your wages for the rest of your life. So what's the number before you're cool with them? You're just like, sorry, honey, that's it for you. What's the number?
Right? What disease would that be where I'd have
What's
to pay
the
that?
number? Well, it could be any sort of disease, but what's the number, Paul?
No, it's not any sort of disease.
What's the number, Paul?
No, the number I would pay?
Yeah, you'd
I
probably
don't
pay
know.
any number, right, Paul?
It depends what my wife said. She's like, yeah, don't pay it.
You would,
Or
so if
pay
your
it.
wife said don't pay it, you'd let your wife die?
Well, it's her decision. I can't.
I'm just
control
asking
her.
you. No, I'm just saying. So you'd be okay with that?
If I could pay $1 million, I would.
Yeah, you would, Paul.
But
You
I
would.
pay.
And that's
I
why.
pay,
And that's why, Paul. Hold on. We're gonna land the plane here.
Well, you're not.
That's why healthcare does. That's why comparing eggs in a grocery store, which people will stop buying if they get too expensive, is different than comparing the prices of life-saving care, healthcare,
Actually, it's not.
and
It's
treatment.
really not.
Because that's the beauty of this scheme, Paul, is we introduce to these private healthcare insurance companies, and they will pay more. And that brings up the price for Big Pharma. They're in it together. They're holding hands while they take all of our money. And they charge us way more than we need to, which is why our healthcare costs are like 4 times more than most countries. Our prescription costs are 4 to 12 times more expensive than every other country. You know why? Because we have private healthcare insurance. That's why. And they bring that price up as high as they possibly can before people can't afford it. And they will always keep it. And they will always keep it as high as they possibly can. And you know why? Because they have a legal fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders. So if they are losing money, they have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders to either cut costs or increase revenue, which they will do. They'll raise the price, or they will cut costs on the back end. They'll fire people, right? They have a legal obligation to take care of their stockholders at the expense of us, Paul.
Again, you have no idea how they
All right,
charge,
Paul.
do you?
Have a good day. You don't know anything.
Can I tell you at least?
No, you cannot, Paul. You cannot. I've given you plenty of chances. Last time you tried, you told me about eggs in a grocery store. You don't know what you're talking about. All right, Joe Rookie Mahers. Mayors? I don't know what that. We're at 12:15. Hey, Joe. You there, Joe? I don't know, Paul. The amount of people that are so sure without, like, if there's a subject I don't know about, I'm definitely not going to show up on a live to argue it. I'm definitely not going to do that. Nothing from Joe there, but I appreciate them coming on. It works out well for me. Podfather show. You found Paul's. Hey, Podfather.
Hello.
Hello. You're not driving, are you?
Thank you. No, I'm in a vehicle, but I'm passenger.
Okay, cool. What's up?
Thank you for having me on. I just want to ask a couple questions before I make statements. Just kind of like to do things that way. Was that like a serious statement when you had said something about how your family owns several hospitals and everything in Nebraska?
It is from it's from my ex-wife's family, but yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's not like so it's not like
yeah. I'm not getting any of that, unfortunately. None of that money's coming.
No. I get it. That is oftentimes how it works in families with money is, it stays with the people who started it, which is understandable. But no, okay. Well, that kind of redirects things because I was going to make a couple of points, but yeah, when you had initially made those statements, you weren't, I guess, as clear on them then as you are now. But with the direction I was leaning with that, and is I was wondering, because based on your statement, you was saying that health insurance or the health industry, medical industry, hospitals, being part of that, would charge the most they possibly could for any situation, and that was one of the points that you was trying to make to your last guest. which I agree, which I agree with. Of course, they do that. I mean, what business doesn't?
Right.
That's kind of the whole point of being in business, is to make money for financial gain. So and if you can charge as much as you want and people are willing to pay it, then hey, more power to you. You know.
Sure.
So it's but the question I was going to lead with that then is I thought maybe it was your direct family is the way it had come across when you first had mentioned that, and I was just going to ask, like, if you've shunned your family, if you've have ridiculed them as much.
The answer to that,
your opponents on here.
The answer to that question is yes, and they don't like me very much, so they're not big fans of mine.
Right. Yeah. Well,
your services,
at least in that aspect,
go ahead.
Yes. So, well, it's good that you would do that. At least in that aspect, then in that regards, I wouldn't be able to call you a hypocrite in that matter.
Sorry about that.
But yeah, no. Well, hey, it is what it is. I mean, I don't look for opportunities to call people out on their hypocrisy. But if the opportunity presents itself, then by all means, I'm definitely going to present it to them.
Sure.
I've seen you do several times.
So even if that was the case, it still wouldn't make any of my arguments not true, right? Even if I personally was a hypocrite, if I was sitting here in my mansion that like my family bought me and I didn't do shit to deserve it, they just got the money from them. Everything I'm saying was still true, right?
Yeah. I guess from what I've listened to in the last 5 minutes, it wasn't coming on here saying, hey, you're wrong about that. No, that's none of that of what I had looked up. Other than the part about when you guys were discussing like the subsidies and bailouts, I just did a brief search on that before you guys switched lanes in your conversation there, and I was trying to follow along with that too, so I stopped researching it. But from what I've searched in probably a minute and a half, to me, it did look like the findings that I was getting back in my search results is that the Democrats had actually have historically done more bailouts and subsidies than the Republican Party over the last few
bailouts and there's a difference between subsidies. Some bailouts, some subsidies, I'm going to be okay with, right? For example, like with COVID, I'm going to be okay with that. And those subsidies and those bailouts are because our system isn't working. Our economic system doesn't work. The money is staying at the top. So when we have a disaster, rich people are fine, but poor people are toast, right? So we have to then, because we're not going to be able to get any of that money back, we have to re-inject money into our economy to help the people who can't afford it, right? And what we saw in COVID was historic. We saw more money shift from the middle class to the top 1% than in any time in our nation's history, right? The poor got poorer, the middle class got more poor, and the rich got significantly richer. And then because we had no mechanism to get that money back, we had to spend a bunch of money just so that people could live. So I'm going to support that at that point because I want people to live. But then I also wish Republicans would look at this and be like, hey, you know why we had to print that money? Because those people are hoarding all the money, and money is supposed to circulate, and it's not circulating. So that's why we have to print money. That's why we have to do this shit. And it's always happens to be Republicans come in, they cut taxes, they increase spending, we have a disaster, and then Democrats have to show up and save the day. And then we build things up, and we build it the right way. We increase taxes, we try and slow deficit spending, and then Republicans come in and win, and they're like, okay, we're going to cut taxes and increase deficit spending. And then they just do that again. And then Donald Trump, we have the Donald Trump era. It happens again. Push comes to shove. It happens again. And I still have Republicans showing up like, we got to get Trump back there. It's like, do you not realize that all of these problems were exacerbated because he he increased spending while cutting taxes? Like, he gave tax breaks to billionaires the entire time. He had a tax cut for everybody, and for some reason that tax cut expired on the middle class, but it didn't for his billionaire buddies. And like, Republicans still just like, how do you guys not see? How do they not see this?
Well, I know what I see, And I see like the financial difference in my bank account. Now I know that some might say, that's anecdotal.
It's so anecdotal. Why don't you
but
address what I just said instead? Because I don't give a shit about your bank account. But I don't care about that. So I want you to address what I said. Because what you're doing right now is you're ignoring objective reality and statistics and relying on an anecdotal story as if that's compelling. Why don't you just admit that this is what happens? We may have lost you, bud.
Objective reality is this.
Internet. Sorry,
I've
your
lost
internet's
164.
Podfather, your internet is horrendous. You're breaking up really, really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody can hear you. It's breaking up so bad. It's like the
Hello?
start of it. That's a little better.
Yeah. There. Now it's going to be better.
Cool. Go ahead.
I mean, you could say it's anecdotal because it's coming from me, from one person, but I've lost 164 individual clients since Biden's taken office. At that point, I've got 164 testimonies that make it to where it's not anecdotal anymore. It's anecdotal coming from my mouth, but there's 160.
That's what I said.
There's 164 clients.
Okay. It's like this.
No, listen. I didn't interrupt you.
I don't care.
No, it's not like this. You interrupt everybody, and that's the only reason why you do so.
I'm going to interrupt you too.
Then I don't give a shit about what you've got to say either. I didn't interrupt you, dude.
Okay, see ya.
I didn't interrupt you. I let you speak.
Okay, see ya then.
Okay, bye. Kiss ass.
These boomers get so mad. Yeah, I'm going to interrupt you if you don't respond to the things I say. Like, here's the answer to that question. You have 164 people that you know are making less money now. Well, I literally just got done saying the middle class is making less money and the poor are making less money and all the rich are making more money. I just got done saying that. We're saying the same thing. We're not even arguing at this point, but he's so dense, he didn't even know we were saying the same thing. I don't care. I don't need to hear your story, a 10-minute story about how we're saying the exact goddamn thing. We're saying the same thing, dude. Let's go. Moms against Rom? That's probably not opposition. Is anybody? I'm trying to remember. Let me ask a question here real quick. All right, I'm going to go to Sarah Ann. We're upsetting a bunch of boomers today. I'm sorry to Podfather Show. Understand, like, I don't want to monologue back and forth. I'm trying to have a conversation, but I have to cut you off and try and get us back on track. Like, we're saying the same thing. You're welcome to come back up if you'd like to. But we got to stay on track. I can't have like a 20-minute monologue about your friends. I just don't really care that much. Sarah Ann not here. Let's see. Okay. Nothing there. Bushmaster's been hanging out here for a while. I don't think I'm going to bring you up. Oh, there you are, Podfather. Welcome back.
All right. I'd like to first I'll say that you wouldn't even let me speak for 20 seconds without interrupting me, so don't chastise me about a 20-minute monologue that never happened.
So what I do,
fair enough.
But what I do,
fair enough. But you're literally making shit up just so you have a rebuttal. If you're going to say something, at least let it be true.
Came back to yell again. Do you want to have a conversation?
I'm not yelling. No one's yelling, dude.
I'm just explaining something.
No one's yelling.
I'm just explaining something to you. When you are speaking, and if there is something I need clarification on, I'm going to stop you and ask for clarification on that. And if you can't agree to that, then
That's
I'm sorry.
Not what you did.
And when I'm talking, Podfather, if you want clarification, fine. But what I said to you, like, you understand that I said the middle class, everybody is struggling. You understand I said that, right?
Yep, and what you were refusing to hear is that my clients aren't the middle class. My clients are the wealthy.
The billionaires? Your clients are the billionaires?
Yeah, my net worth is 1.6 million, man. My clients are the wealthy.
That's not that high.
1.6 million net worth?
You're not a billionaire, and are they the billionaires?
I never said I was a billionaire.
Okay,
but my clients are the wealthy. I mean, you're talking about my clients like they're the middle class and the poor, and that's not true. But you wouldn't shut your mouth long enough for me to say anything. And that seems to be your MO when you're in these lines, is you talk over everyone as if somehow that makes you right. Well, I got news for you, pal. Silencing your opponents does not prove your objective.
Let's calm down, okay?
It doesn't.
So calm down.
You can silence your opposers all day long, but that doesn't make you right.
Brother, I don't know how old you are, but I bet your heart doesn't need this. So
and now you're gaslighting. Do you not have an intelligent rebuttal?
Dude.
It's gaslighting. The only objective rebuttal that you have.
I'm trying to rebuttal, Podfather, but you're losing your goddamn mind.
You're gaslighting is what you are. You're literally gaslighting.
Are you almost done?
No, when you can debate me like a professional, then I'll shut my fucking pie hole.
Well, I'm trying to talk calmly to you, and you keep getting more and more upset. So the transfer, so the transfer of wealth that I'm talking about the billionaire class. I'm not talking about the millionaire class.
No. I've been screen recording your live for the last 15 minutes. You never once said billionaire. You said millionaire.
Why are you yelling at me?
Because you're lying again.
I'm not lying.
When you can be truthful, you are. I've been screen recording your live for 15 minutes. You never once said billionaire. You never once said billionaire. You said millionaires. You said millionaires.
The transfer.
Dude, can you at least be honest about what you said?
My God, dude, you are.
Yeah, my God, dude, be honest.
Calm down.
No, why? So I could just sit here like a good little boy with my teeth in my mouth, my hands in my lap, so you can continue to lie? That's what you expect? Is that your MO? No, you don't like it when somebody stands up to your bullshit. You don't like it when you're getting dog walked, and therefore you continue talking over me and gaslighting me to try to make yourself look better. But you don't prove yourself right by silencing your opposers. You only prove that they're going to make you look wrong. That's what you prove.
Are we good now?
As long as you're going to be honest.
Are we good? Are we good now?
I'm good, but I'm being honest. You're not.
Okay.
You're being facetious, disingenuous, and downright dishonest.
I know, and your feelings were really hurt. I get it. So toughen up, big guy.
See, and now you're gaslighting.
Yeah, because I say, listen, I'm
you're not a very good professional debater, are you?
Okay, just shut the
fuck
up.
You're a masturbator, but you're not a debater.
I do regularly masturbate. That's true. Thank you for bringing that up. And by the way, like I literally do this every day, and I'm not a professional. But what I can say is that I'm 37 years old, and I can handle somebody insulting me without throwing a goddamn fit. Okay, when somebody tells you to shut the fuck up, you can just be a man and be like, you don't have to freak out about that. It doesn't have to hurt your fragile little ego. I'm telling you that the transfer.
How about this? I don't have to shut the fuck up when somebody tells me to.
We were close.
Especially when you're talking to me like that.
What's that?
We were close. I'm not going to shut the fuck up when you tell me to, man. I'm not your bitch, dude.
Okay, then
talk to people with respect, man.
What are you doing here? I tried to shush. I tried to say be quiet.
I'm literally.
I tried all the nicest.
Your lies.
I tried all the nicest
your lies.
You're a grown
facetious statements, and you're
TikTok
literally talking over me so that your followers don't hear me do it. You're literally talking over me so that your followers don't hear me do it.
That's what it is. Okay, so I'm going to continue.
It's exactly what it is. You're getting dog walked now, and you don't like it, bitch.
Do you want to have this conversation, or do you want to keep crying? Which one do you want to do? You can choose.
See, there you go with more gaslighting. If that's your definition of crying, I'm going to tell you something right now, pal. You're too weak for this conversation. If that's your definition of crying, you're too weak for this conversation. You'll get spanked and you'll go home sitting in a corner looking for a happy space.
Are you into that? Is that your thing?
See, there you go, man, with more gaslighting and insults.
I'm laughing at you.
You know what
that's
called?
Child.
In a professional debate, that's called Goodwin's Law.
Keep going.
In a professional debate, that's called Goodwin's Law. Do you know what that is? You know what Goodwin's Law is in a professional debate? It's when people resort to that type of stuff and mockery, they do it because they know they've been beat. They don't have an intellectually thought-provoking rebuttal.
I think it would be too.
And therefore, they resort to mockery and insult and things like that, which is exactly what you're doing right now.
So I'll give you another opportunity. I offered an olive branch, Podfather. I said, you're welcome to come back and to debate this subject. We can talk about it. You're welcome to. Oh, he got community guidelines. I don't know what happened there. I welcomed you back. I said we could debate this topic, and you came on and rattled about how your feelings were hurt for 10 minutes. Like, grow up, Peter Pan. I hope your client saw this, by the way. This is the guy. Whatever. I don't know if he's managing money or what he's doing, but, like, that's your guy. Big man. big man there comes up and throws a absolute fit for 10 minutes. Nick, welcome. Oh, God.
Hello?
Hey, Nick, how are you?
How's it going?
Wonderful.
The Republican Party was all about freedom. The Democrat Party didn't pass any legislation, no civil rights legislation ever. The only legislation that was passed was by the Republicans. So the reason why we have the freedom and liberties that we do have today is because of the Republicans.
And those Republicans at the time, were they conservative or were they progressive?
I would say conservative.
Oh, you would say wrong. They were progressive, right? Conservative would have meant to keep things exactly the same. Did they advocate for keeping things the same, or did they advocate for progress?
They wanted progress.
So progressive, right?
Right.
Would you say that the Republican Party today is conservative or progressive?
I still say that they're progressive.
They are. So what progress are they advocating for today?
Basically, they're trying, like, the economy, like everything.
That's what about their economic principles are progressive?
They're not just trying to like give out money, and they're trying to like get back to the basics of like they're trying to get back to the basis of like just having how can I say this, like the debt, like knowing that you can't make everybody happy. They're like
gotcha. So you understand that under Donald Trump, he cut taxes and increased spending, right? He spent more than Obama, and he cut taxes. So that means we brought in less money and increased our debt.
Yeah, but
so would you say that was? So would you say that was trying to like decrease the debt if he increased it?
Well, you can't use that as one. You can't use that as
okay. So let's look at the last Republican before that. How about Bush? What did he do? Did he increase or decrease the debt?
The debt actually decreased under Trump, and it increased under.
It did not. It definitely did not. It increased magnificently, more than any other president in one term. That's silly that you just said that.
But what I'm saying is, like, for American life.
Wait,
like,
no, hold on. Not what you're just saying. What you just said is the debt decreased under Trump. You understand that that's like just not true, right?
We didn't. We was already in debt from Obama. He inherited.
We were in debt, but did the debt increase or decrease under Trump?
It had to increase.
Why did it have to increase?
Because he didn't have his policies in it. We were still going off.
Why didn't he have his policies in place?
Because we were still on the Obama policies.
What policies? What policies are you talking about specifically?
He was still giving money. He was still giving money away, and like and you can't really count the last couple of years because of COVID.
Oh, you can't count the last. You mean like the last year? So you can't count the first 2 years. You can't count the first 2 years because it was Obama's fault, and you can't count the last 2 years because COVID. So then you don't know. So then we can't count anything, right? So everything, no, I'm talking now. It's my turn. You went, now it's my turn. So what you're saying is like, for the first 2 years we can't count that, and the last 2 years we can't count that. That's a really convenient thing for you, that you can say that they're conservative. If you just don't count anything that they did, then yeah, they wanted to lower the debt. Got it.
Obama was the president for 8 years. Trump was only president for 4. So 2 of those years, as you would know, 2 of those years,
you know that Donald Trump, that when we spend, so new spending, right?
Yes.
You know he has to sign that, correct?
Correct.
Okay. But the Republicans had control of the House and the Senate, right?
But we were just starting to pump oil home. Everything was coming from home, so we were basically.
Brother, that's not related. Shut up. The spending bills. Who writes this? Like, how do we decide what we're going to spend? Who makes the budget?
GDP.
GDP makes the budget. Who's GDP?
You said who makes the budget of the what?
Who makes the budget?
The president of the United States makes the budget.
Incorrect. Try again. 0 for 2.
Congress.
And then where does it go?
The Senate.
Okay, and then where does it go?
The president.
Okay, so the Republican Congress, Republican Senate, and Republican president signed every one of those spending bills, and you want to blame Obama?
Yeah, but you can't.
Oh, it's Obama's fault. Yeah. No, why? How are you blaming Obama?
I'm blaming the Democrats because it's such.
No, how are you blaming? No, but it was the Republicans.
Because Obama gave money to a bunch of things.
But it was the Republicans who wrote and signed the bill.
I understand that. But
And how are you blaming people that
Because
didn't write and sign the bill? How could it possibly be someone
there's
else's
a
fault?
such thing as an executive decision. Obama signed off on a lot of
An
things.
executive, I think, first of all, you meant executive order, which Trump campaigned on never doing, and he wrote more executive orders than any president in 4 years
But
in
so did
history.
Obama,
But
right?
that's
Did Obama
still
write
no. But Trump wrote more. But that still has
doesn't
nothing
matter
to
who
do.
wrote more.
But that still has nothing to do with the spending.
But you're not
Like, are you just reading off a script of shit
No,
like you've
dude,
heard
what I'm
before, or
telling
what's
you
going
is,
on?
as a
Okay, so
Democrat-
let's talk about spending. Who wrote the bill? Who made the budget? Who made the budget?
The Republicans.
Republicans.
Yeah.
And who signed the budget?
Republicans.
And so that's Democrats' fault.
No, I'm not saying that that's the Democrats.
Oh, it's sorry, Obama's fault.
But Obama didn't have to sign it if he didn't agree with it.
He
correct?
wasn't the president, you potato. He wasn't there. He was with his family. He was done being president. He didn't
Okay,
sign
so-
anything. He might have signed like some autographs. This has nothing to do with Obama.
But what about the
What
Democrats?
no, what not? No, listen, Nick. You can't just what about your way through this.
You're not saying
Do
that,
you
bro.
understand? I need you to understand
You're not
that this
saying
was the Republicans who did this.
Okay, the Republicans is also the ones that freed slaves. The Republicans are also the ones that did so much for the economy. The
So
Democrats
wait, which one of these Republicans? Which one of these Republicans
Bill
helped
Clinton
free the? Which one of
Bill
these
Clinton-
Republic?
Bill
Which one of
Clinton
these?
with the three
Which
strike
one
rule.
of these Republicans helped free the slaves?
Bill Clinton with the three
Which
strike
one
rule
of these
locked up a bunch
Republicans
of
helped free the slaves?
Huh?
Which one of these Republicans helped free the slaves?
The whole party, the Democrats. was
Which
against
one
it.
of these Republicans?
What you mean these? It's a party.
Which one of
It's
these?
a party.
Which one of these Republicans
Dude,
helped
it's
free
a
the slaves?
party. What are you talking about? It's a party. The
Correct,
party
and
existed way
and
before
you don't wait. Hold on. Do you
the
think
business.
that parties? Do you think that people can change? That parties can change their ideas over time?
I don't. I don't think you can be against slavery one day and then say I'm with you guys now. I don't think.
Well,
that.
good news. It wasn't one day. It wasn't one day. And do you know anything about the demographics, like how the demographics of the Republican and Democrat parties changed?
Bro, I don't think you can be.
Do you know anything about how the?
racist
Do you
party
know
and a
anything about how the
non-racist party.
demographics changed?
Say it again.
Do you know anything about how the demographics of the Republican Party and Democrat Party changed?
No, I don't.
Okay, so what you had with the Republican Party is they were running like they were a little bit in trouble. They didn't have enough votes. So what they did is they devised what's called the Southern Strategy, and they went to mostly white evangelical Southerners, people who, by the way, didn't have like a great relationship, not a big fan necessarily of ending slavery, and there's a lot of racism in the South, especially among white evangelicals. And the Republicans saw an opportunity because these white evangelicals didn't like the Democrats. The Democrat Party, who they used to love, the Democrat Party who helped them protect slavery, now was saying like, no, we're not doing that. Like, we've changed. We're more progressive now. It's for
That's a
everybody.
lot.
And the Republicans saw an opportunity to co-opt them. And
That's a
they
lot.
did. And that's what the Southern Strategy was. And you can call that a lie all you want, but you didn't even know about it. So how do you know it was a lie?
Because the Democrats was against slavery. I mean, they were for slavery.
Brother, I just said that.
Okay, so now you're telling me.
Okay, so then what
that I
happened?
could vote
So
for-
I'll
don't
explain
matter
it
if they
again.
flipped
Okay,
or
listen
not.
with your
I would
ears this
never-
time.
I would never
Okay, so
vote for a party that was for slavery ever.
okay,
Whether
well
they
that's
flip
if
or
you want
change their
if you
mind or
want to
whatever.
base your vote on policies from like the 1800s, which party held which beliefs in the 1800s, be my guest. But by the way, neither one of these parties would have allowed black people to vote. So what are you going to do with that?
What do you mean? It was a civil rights movement. The Republicans they signed legislation. The Republicans signed this legislation, not Democrats.
The Republic.
Once again, they were against
Excuse
it.
me. When was the civil rights movement?
That's what, 65?
And you think, just full chest, Democrats opposed it?
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude. Oh my God, dude. How did this happen? How did you get this? How did you get this? How no, I'm talking. No.
Somebody
How
had
did
to be
you-
against it for it to be a
Shush.
movement.
Shush. How did you
you
get
know
this
what I mean?
uninformed?
So what party was against it?
No,
Republicans?
which,
were- you said
no,
Republicans?
wait. Which Republicans?
It would be a
Let me
movement.
ask you this: Which Republicans
The
supported
party.
it?
The party.
Which
It doesn't matter the particulars. The party.
Okay, what did the
supported it.
Republican Party do to support the civil rights movement?
What do you mean? What they do? They
What
started.
did
the
they
civil rights-
do?
They signed legislation
Which legislation?
to allow black people to be on vote to do all the things that
To
we are
allow
able to
black
do.
people to be on vote.
to vote and do whatever we want to do, and have our own freedoms. That was signed by the Republicans. The Democrats had nothing to do with that.
So
Absolutely
the Civil
nothing.
Rights, just so you know, the Civil Rights Act, it passed 71 to 29, right? 71 votes for, 29 against. How many Republicans do you think voted for it?
Majority. Let's say
27.
Let's say
20. I just gave you the answer. The answer is 27. How many Democrats voted for it?
I don't know.
44. What number is higher, 44 or 27?
44.
Okay, so the Democrats were the ones who voted in majority for the Civil Rights Act, and the
But they
Republicans
didn't bring it to
and the
legislation.
Republicans voted against it. You're wrong, dude.
Dude, you're not understanding. All right. Who
I
started
don't
the-
understand. Wait, hold
Who
on.
started
You
the
just said the
Republican
Republican Party is the one that wrote and pushed through the Civil Rights Act, and then I just gave you the votes, and you said I don't understand. Correct?
Because you're not understanding who started the Republican Party.
Nobody gives a shit about who's. Started the. This is so embarrassing. 44 Democrats voted for it, 27 Republicans. This was the Democrats pushing this, and some Republicans. And you want to guess where like most of those votes against this came from? Do you want to guess?
What, Republicans?
Probably the South, right?
Right.
Probably those white evangelical places that the Republicans co-opted.
Yeah, but
Probably.
they also
Yeah. Things that I say and stop starting every sentence with "what about." Listen to things that I say and stop starting every sentence with "what about." Listen to the words that I say and then respond to those. Listen to the words that I say and then respond to those. Oh, he left? Did he get misinformation? How does that happen? How does that happen? Nick, God bless you, man, but like, dude, who are you listening to? In the world are you listening to? All it takes is asking you just like a few questions to expose. Like, you don't know what and this isn't like my expertise, for sure. I'm probably gonna have to have somebody come in here who knows a hell of a lot more on this than I do. And I didn't need it. That was wild. That was sad. Let's see. If you're in the comments and you are, unless you want to respond, unless I have somebody that wants to respond to anything I got wrong there, you can come up. But I just want opposition in the comments, please. Yeah, I heard that. I heard TikTok's been really strict on bouncing guests. I had seen a notification about that. One of the things that TikTok's doing a little bit differently with their hosts, they're trying to give their hosts more control and more ownership over the live. So I think that historically maybe they have gone after the live in general, and they are going after whoever's saying it now. Let's see, what is this? What did you just send me here? Can anyone see similarities in that? All right, let me bring up the next person. Paul, we already talked to. Keegan, I think I talked to you the other day. So, hey, Christopher, if you're there. Again, if you're in the box waiting and you're not opposition, if you do me a favor, just bounce out of that. That would be terrific. No go there. Let's go to Tim Knight. Tim Knight's got a nice cloud of smoke coming out there. It's lovely. Hey, Tim. Tim, you're not driving, are you?
How's it going?
Good. You're not driving, are you?
How's it going, brother?
Tim, are you driving by chance?
I am. Let me take you off Bluetooth.
All right. Sorry, Tim. I gotta jump you down. Just know, Tim, if you're still listening, TikTok doesn't allow you to drive and join a live. If you want to come back up, just pull over and I'll do that. But I can't have you on. I'll get in trouble. Who do we got here? Paul, we already talked to, I think. CS Tap Music Politics. No there. Let's see. Nothing there. All right. Next up is, I think, was Tiberius, maybe? Yeah, Tiberius. Tiberius,
so,
welcome.
Just so you know, the evangelicals were the biggest advocates for abolishing slavery. I don't know if you knew that, but they were well in the 1700s, well before slavery was abolished. Just
Yeah, but not Southern ones.
and many were South, especially the guy that wanted to have a revolution for slaves that was from the South. Yeah.
Yeah. Were there
Mr.
so who do you think owned who
Mr.
mostly
Brown, the guy that started
Calm
the
down.
slave revolution in
Yeah.
the South? Right. Okay. So you don't really
who
know
owned who owned the plantations? Was that
what?
Who owned the
1%
plantations
of
mostly?
America? 1% of America.
Who owned?
Americans?
Who? No, I'm just wondering. I'm just wondering who owned them.
Owned slavery.
Are
How many
you just gonna-
how many black people own slaves? Do you know that?
Are you
Do
going to
know that
answer
there
any
were more
questions, or are you just
black
going to
slave
monologue,
owners?
Tiberius? All right.
You-
okay, listen,
no.
listen, brother. When you come on here, you can be respectful. We can have a conversation, but it's not an opportunity for you to like rage monologue. So if you want to have a discussion, you and I can have a discussion. But there's no sense in having this conversation if literally everything I say you're just going to what about. So Tiberius, I muted you. You're welcome. We can have a discussion if you'd like.
Yeah, we can have a discussion,
Okay.
but you can respect me and not just talk over me when I'm telling you facts and information.
So So what question did you want to ask?
I wanted to ask you. You were talking about Trump. Apparently added so much money to the deficit. So how much money was it?
Let me pull it up. You want to look at the national debt or deficit spending? Which one do you want to look at?
How much money did he add to the deficit?
That's a different number. Sorry, I pulled up the national debt. I should know this number. It's a little embarrassing that I don't know it off the top of my head. 7.8 trillion.
And what did he spend the money on?
Well, we could go back. We could go back through all the spending bills. How much time do you have?
Yeah. Did he spend it outside the country, or did he use the money to invest in America?
Both.
How much money did he send outside of this country, opposed to how much was used for America?
Well, we always spend more in America than we send out to other countries.
Well, of course. And are you trying to say that?
What's the? Can I just ask you what are you getting at there? Because obviously I'm not going to know. I'm not going to know every single number. So can you?
Trump's a businessman. He knows how to invest money in certain places that are going to have return.
Well,
okay, so just because
hold on, Tiberius, where is a place that Trump invested money where we got a return?
I don't know. You don't even know what the money was spent on.
Well, I could read. Do you understand how big spending bills is? You asking me what the money was. You asking what? Hold on, Tiberius. We agreed.
No,
Tiberius, we agreed not to talk over each other. We agreed. So let me finish, and then you can go. And then we can go. Okay, I'll mute you if you can't do this. Okay. So you asking me what he spent the money on? It would literally take hours for me to read all those spending bills. Like maybe days for me to read those spending bills. So that's why I'm saying like be more specific.
Okay. That's why I'm saying don't use it as a talking point if you don't know what the money is even spent on.
I didn't use it as a talking point. What the person said is that the Republicans spend less, and I said they spent more. It wasn't a talking point. It was a rebuttal to what somebody said that was wrong.
Right, and so you think that Republicans are the ones that wrote those spending bills?
Well, who had control?
Well, it doesn't matter. Politicians write. In fact, the House representatives don't even write those bills. Do you even know who writes the bills?
You know I've covered this in this live already, right?
Yeah, let's hear it. Who writes the bills?
Well, it depends on the bill, but a lot of times you have lobbyists in the room. Not every time. I assume you must have worked in politics.
Even know. There's literally
hold on.
a committee of lawyers up in D.C. that write the bills.
No, there's
that
not.
House representatives send their people
hold on. No, you're wrong.
Ideas to these committees that write the bills. You don't know what you're talking about, my friend.
Slow down,
you have
Tiberius.
no idea.
Tiberius. So the way that bills work is bills can be written by like a congressperson. They cannot be written by a congressperson. There are. Hold on. I was almost done there, pal. I know. There are oftentimes when there is a group of lawyers, like the Republicans will have a group of lawyers, and so will the Democrats, and they're on staff to write the bills in a legal way. That's true. That doesn't necessarily mean it's always their ideas. Sometimes there's lobbyists involved. There are dark money groups that meet regularly with politicians to write legislation. There have been times when the lobbyists bring the bill with their own like letterhead on it, and people in Congress have accidentally presented the bill to Congress, and they forgot to change the letterhead, and it literally said like the lobbyist who did it. So there's a lot of different ways that bills get introduced, and there's a lot of different ways that they write them. But there is not. But there, I was almost done, Tiberius. But there is not just like one group of lawyers who writes them. That's silly.
No, there is actually a committee.
Who are they? Who are they, Tiberius? Who are they?
Look it up. Pull it up.
Who are they?
Go and pull it up.
What do you want me to Google, Tiberius? How would you like me to find this? How would I Google it? What would you like me to put in the search box here?
Who writes the bills?
Who writes?
Which law firm writes the bills in D.C.?
Which law firm writes all the bills?
Most of the bills.
Okay. I have worked in politics and with legislation, and I do have to tell you,
right. Okay.
yeah, and I do have to tell you that no, you're dead fucking wrong.
No,
and
I'm dead right. You do not you don't even know, dude.
So let me read you the headline. So are you talking about the Legislative Council?
There you go. The Legislative
Okay, do you know what the Legislative So I just talked about them. Yeah, so I just talked about the Legislative Council.
And you just said that there were a bunch of bureaucrats.
If you were listening,
technically, I guess they are.
I've never said.
What did you
I've
call
never said. Just let me explain, Tiberius. Shut your mouth for like 2 seconds and let me just talk. Okay.
Yeah,
what I said. Okay. So no go on that. No go on that, Tiberius. What I said is there are lawyers. That would be the Legislative Council, and they take the information that people want to put into a bill, and they write the bill to make it legal. But oftentimes, there is already a bill that gets brought to them that has been prepared by other lawyers, outside lawyers, and yes, the Office of Legislative Counsel will review them just to make sure that you're not going to have any problems with the courts. That when you pass the bill, that it's actually legal. That's their job. It's a nonpartisan group, and they're not writing bills. They're not they're not choosing the content in the bill. They're taking the content and putting it together so that it's legal. That's what attorneys do in almost all instances.
Let me explain to you something. I just taught you this, and you are coming off like you're an expert.
I just said it. What are you talking about?
You just read it off your computer because I just taught
I wasn't reading that
about it, and then
I wasn't reading that. You think that?
That was very.
You think I just read that?
That was very smart the way that you did that. But the fact that you didn't know about a legislative council before
I had already said it. I literally said the words legislative council.
Here,
I literally had already said that.
Another question,
brother.
Let me ask you another question.
No. We're gonna mute you now for a second.
You're gonna take the L.
I'm gonna mute you. I'm gonna mute you again here for a second, because specifically when you asked who wrote the bills, I said it depends. But there are lawyers that put the bill together to make it legal. That's why I asked you, Tiberius, if you were talking about the content of the bill or who actually physically wrote the bill. That's why I asked that question. You're out of your goddamn mind. You haven't listened to me if you think I don't know that. I've covered this. I've covered this on my live multiple times, dude.
Good salesman, dude. I just literally taught you about legislative.
Sure you did. Okay, you taught me. Thanks for teaching me that. What's your next point? Thank you for teaching me that, Tiberius. Thank you for teaching me that. I just wanted. Hey, I'm just telling you. Tiberius. Thank you for teaching me that. That was very nice.
Okay, you're welcome. So you got something here that says Republicans hate freedom. So define freedom.
Well, I guess freedom to do the things that we're allowed to do by our Constitution.
Wrong.
I can wait. Are you saying how I'm using freedom or the definition of freedom?
Define freedom in the American way.
In the American way? What do you mean in the American way?
The American way of how us Americans define freedom.
So what's my personal? Is there a standard way that Americans define freedom?
Dude, I can define it for you very easy, but I want to see if you can do this.
No. You're asking me for a definition that doesn't exist, right?
Okay.
There is no American definition of freedom.
There is actually, but can you?
Okay, then go ahead and explain it to me.
Hold on. Can you explain natural rights?
Can we stay on subject? Can you just go to freedom?
You already lost on that whole thing. Can you explain natural rights?
No, thank you. Can you? Are we going to do this?
You can't. Can you?
No, I don't know I don't know
the.
the definition of natural rights. Who cares?
Okay, how many times was God mentioned in the Declaration of Independence?
I don't know how many.
4 times.
Okay.
Okay, what
legal standing does the Declaration of Independence have in this country?
Who gives us our
What
rights?
legal standing does the Declaration of Independence have in this country?
The Constitution is
What
derived
legal
from the
standing does the Declaration of
It's
Independence
the law
have?
Of the land. The Constitution is
The
derived.
Declaration is the law of the land?
Listen, are you going to let me
What
talk?
legal standing does the Declaration of Independence have in this country?
The Declaration, look, the Constitution is derived.
What legal?
From the
No, not the
Declaration of Independence.
Constitution. The Declaration of Independence. What legal standing does it have?
The Constitution is derived.
No, the
from
Declaration. The Declaration of Independence
Listen to
is
what
not
I'm
the
saying,
same as the
and stop
Constitution,
interrupting me.
Tiberius.
Stop interrupting me.
Tiberius. What
Stop
legal
interrupting
standing?
me, bro.
What
You're just
legal
gonna fucking
standing,
talk over me because
Tiberius?
You don't know jack what you're talking about.
What
You
legal
don't know what you're
standing,
talking about, buddy.
Tiberius?
That's
All right,
why
bud.
you're trying to talk over
Have a
me.
good one, bud.
The Declaration of Independence.
Have a good one, bud. Jesus, came in hot, man. Came in hot. Appreciate it, Tiberius. Go somewhere else. You're not very fun to talk to.
Hey, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you doing?
Good, good. I just side note that got way far off the topic, but we'll try to stay on the topic here.
All right.
Okay. Republicans hate freedom. No, they don't.
Yeah. So that's good. I'm glad you don't hate freedom. My thought behind that question is the front runner of the Republican Party is Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is campaigning on actual fascism, which to me is anti-freedom.
What is he doing? Do you know what fascism is?
I do know what fascism is. Yeah.
Okay,
It's like-
so then
so
how is he
essentially-
fascist?
Yeah, so the way that he's running on a fascist platform is he's advocating that he take more control, like that the executive branch be given more control, specifically through the FEC, the FTC, and the FCC, and that he also has control over whether those bodies are ever investigated.
But that's not fascism.
No, I think he's trying to run on a fascist platform. Like, obviously, a fascist takeover takes time, right? First, you have to consolidate the power, and the first step is to make sure that one, he already has the courts, which is terrific for him. But then you have to give the executive branch more power. It's a process. If we were never allowed to say somebody was fascist until we were like fully in a fascist movement, then fine. But I'm going to call this like preparation for a fascist movement.
I think Bernie Sanders is a communist.
Yeah, well, he's a democratic socialist.
No, he's a communist.
Well, he's a democratic socialist, though,
Well,
right?
yeah,
He
but
believes in
socialism-
democracy, and he also believes in like socialism.
Well, yeah,
right?
anybody.
So
who
that would
believes
make
in
him a
socialism. In order for
democratic
socialism to
socialist,
be
right?
successful, in order for socialism to be successful, it always becomes communism. Socialism
Okay.
is the economic.
And is Bernie
communism
Sanders
is the government.
Bernie Sanders trying to give himself more power? Bernie Sanders is a senator, right? So
Yeah.
his personal beliefs, like he hasn't implemented communism.
No, he wants to. If he was president, he would want to.
Well, if he was president, he wouldn't be able to, though, right?
What do you mean?
If Bernie Sanders was running on his platform, and he was also advocating that once he became president, he be given more powers than the executive branch was granted, and powers so that you could not investigate the bodies that he was using, then yeah, I would say like he's probably a fascist too.
Having just executive power doesn't make you communist or socialist.
No, I didn't say that. I said that I would probably also call him a fascist.
He's on fascism's right wings. Communism and
Oh,
socialism.
you're right. Your fellow right wingers are not going to like that. They're not going to like that you just called it saying right wing
No,
fascism can only be right.
fascism is
And I'm going to help.
classified as
I'm going to
right.
help you out there as somebody who like as much as I wish fascism only existed on the right, like it's just normally like a far right authoritarian, but it doesn't have to be. Like you can have tenets of fascism that could be on the left.
Not
certainly
true.
could happen. No, it certainly could.
How?
So you could be a communist. You could be ultra nationalist. You could have a dictatorial leader. You could have a centralized autocracy. You could have a strong military, forcible suppression of opposition.
That's the commonality. Yeah.
Those are all the tenets of fascism.
No. Communism and fascism are both totalitarian, anti-democratic propaganda.
Not necessarily. No, you can have communism, and you can still have voting. You can still have democratic processes within communism.
I know that. I'm saying that both are totalitarian. It's just that's the commonality. There are differences, though.
Communism and fascism are very, very different, right? Fascism doesn't necessarily have to like adhere to an ideology or an economic theory. Fascism can happen within really any economic theory if you have a fascist leader, right? It just happens to be that it's most of the time that winds up being like a conservative thing, because the one thing that fascists rely on heavily is relying on propaganda. So they have to be like, oh, well, the immigrants are the problem, or in Germany, there was, the Jewish people are the problem, or the LGBTQ community is the problem. Most of the time when a fascist is trying to take over, they need you to fear something. And what's the easiest thing to get people to fear is change. People hate change. It scares them. And so that's why it's usually conservative, because you're saying like, here's who we were, here's who fucked everything up, we got to go back to that, and we're going to have to do some shit to get there. And if you look at the modern Republican Party, I don't know how you could say that they're not at least at the beginning stages of that. Like you overturn Roe v. Wade when 70% of the country is like, yeah, let's keep this in place. The attacks on a woman's body, but also on LGBTQ people, specifically in like specifically children, and the demonization of LGBTQ people, the way that they assign like their motives, and they attach LGBTQ for abusing children, while just completely leaving out like churches, right? It's all a fear campaign, and it's a fear campaign to consolidate power, and you're seeing that right now. You're seeing a consolidation of power on the right, and Project 2025, Agenda 47, those are literally ways to consolidate power in the executive branch. That's the whole point of both of those.
Well, yeah, that's why communism is a left wing and fascism is a right wing, and they both Democrats and Republicans follow aspects of those ideologies. That's why when you say
I think unfortunately, I think you think that fascism and communism are opposites. They're not. I think it seems like you think that's the fringe.
They have similarities, but they also have differences.
No, because you can have fascism and communism.
What do you mean? Can you elaborate?
Yeah, you can have a communist country and have a fascist leader.
How would that work?
The leader. Wait, what do you mean? How would that work? How would it not work?
No, they literally are conflicting.
What do you think communism is?
Communism is when you want to redistribute wealth. Everyone would be very equal. Religion would be abolished, and they wouldn't have any war.
I don't think it necessarily means that religion would be abolished.
No, it is.
No, I don't think. Listen, I don't know that you really know a lot about communism.
Wait, so in a communist state,
you're basically advocating. You're kind of advocating for like a classless system where the means of production are owned by the people. So communism could look very different depending on who's running it, like what the government looks like, and you can have communism under fascist.
You can have, wait, what do you say? Communist under fascist?
You can have communism under a fascist regime. How would that
work, though? How would that work?
Well, it seems like you don't know, because you can still have this like.
No, it can be a dictatorship. It can be totalitarian, but it wouldn't be. It would either be one or the other, or it wouldn't be any.
Why?
Because there are conflicting viewpoints.
Okay, but
communism
this is the thing. So if you fascism is about like taking over, right? So if you have a communist country, can a communist country be taken over by a fascist?
Sure. I mean,
okay, and can you keep keep the tenets of like the economics of communism with a fascist?
A fascist wouldn't do that.
No, it wouldn't. Well, they could. I'm saying, can you? I'm just saying, you think they're polar opposites.
Anyone can do anything.
Can you live pure communism? Can you live pure communism within fascism? Absolutely not. You can't do it. But fascism itself, like fascism, is a takeover. It takes over any theory.
Wait, is what you're kind of saying is that aspects of communism and fascism can exist at the same time.
No, what I'm
Is that
yes,
saying not-
aspects. Yes, aspects. That's exactly what I'm
okay,
saying.
No,
Yes.
so okay, that's what you're saying. Okay. Right. So you pointed out Donald Trump you think is potentially fat or has fascist ideas, and if we don't stop him he would be fascist, and I'm saying that many Democrats such as Jamal Bowman, such as Bernie Sanders, they're communists. So either
Bernie
we
Sanders is
call
not
out
a
particular
communist. But
people
wait,
or
but
we
Bernie
don't call
Sanders
out-
isn't a communist. Why would you say Bernie Sanders is a communist?
Well, because he supports socialism, and what happens innately when you have socialism is that people will stop working. Because if somebody who's working 12 hours
Wait,
a day is
hold
getting
on,
paid
wait.
50,000
Based on what?
No, you asked me a question. Let me finish, please. When you have socialism and you have one person who's working, let's say 12 hours a day, doing an easy job, getting paid $50,000, another person working those same hours and doing a very demanding job and getting paid $50,000, the person who's working
That's
the
not what
demanding job
socialism
won't
is.
work.
Wait, that's
No,
not what
wait, hold up.
socialism is.
No, hold up. Then people will stop working.
That's
And
not
then-
what socialism
and then
is.
because people aren't meeting
That's
the demand,
not
because
what
there's supply and
socialism
demand,
is.
You have to force people to work. And
That
that's what
is
communism
not what socialism is.
That is what socialism is.
No,
What is
it's
true
not.
about it?
Socialism just means that the workers own the rights or the means to production. There is still a variance in how much people make. You
Not
understand
true.
that people make different amounts in socialism, right?
Not true. No.
Okay,
about
well, go study. I don't
redistributing
know
the
what to
wealth.
tell you. You don't. Do you know of any socialist countries?
For example,
What countries right now are
Vladimir-
socialist?
Vladimir Lenin's Russia.
No, what countries right now are socialist?
Not 100% sure right now, but for example, Vladimir Lenin of Russia, you can take him as an example.
Are you gonna keep? Was that the whole example? You're just saying
You asked
Russia?
for an example. I gave you an example.
Okay, no, I'm asking what countries right now are socialist. That's what I'm asking you.
I'm not sure.
Or even democratic socialist.
Do you want to tell me? Seems like you know the answer.
You really don't know this answer?
You know the answer, so just say it.
Like Denmark?
Denmark is a socialist?
They're like democratic socialists, yeah.
What do they do that's socialist?
Oh my God, no! I'm not going to teach you everything, but the point is you can have varying degrees of wealth inside of socialism. Not everybody makes the same amount. When we say the workers own the means to production, it just means that you own your labor. And if you do more labor or you have labor that is valued more, you can get paid more. You will get paid more. Not everybody in socialist countries make the exact same money. I don't know why you think that.
Would you agree that socialism is redistributing wealth?
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yes,
dude.
yes or no?
No, and respond to what I just said.
You didn't ask
How old
me.
are you, by the way? Are you over 18?
20. I'm
Okay,
20.
Cool. I just make it. That was just an age check thing. I
was gonna address that.
You're
but
good.
yeah.
Okay. Wait. Yeah. Is socialism a redistribution of wealth? It could be, but it really just means that the workers own the means of production, right? So if you happen to have like a company where the owner keeps all the profits, then yeah, like if then we were in a socialist system, yeah, it would redistribute. But really, it's like if you're starting off as social, it's just distributing the wealth, right?
Would be redistributing, like
Well, it's not redistributing, right? Redistributing is when the wealth has been distributed and then you're redistributing it, right? I think you probably should read up a little more on socialism. I'm not sure you understand what socialism is. Did I lose you?
What did I say not true about it?
Well, you said
Yeah,
everybody makes
hey,
the
can you hear
same.
me?
You said everybody makes the same in socialism. That's not true.
Well, that's when you redistribute wealth, then people are gonna have the same amount of money.
Oh my God, no, dude, just no. You just gotta go read more. Where did you get your ideas on socialism? Where did you learn this?
How did we?
Where did you learn this?
Reading.
What'd you read?
You want me to recount what I read 5 years ago, or a few months ago?
I would like to know who taught you this awful version of what socialism is. I want to know who's telling you this.
Reading.
So you didn't read, did you? Let's be honest.
No, I did read.
What'd you read then?
I have a question. How does this
No,
relate?
what did you read then?
Your
Because I'm trying to figure out why you think that in socialism everybody makes the same amount.
That's what happens.
It's not what happens. That's why in socialist countries people make varying amounts of money. Sounds like it sounds like you've just like listened. It sounds like you've just listened to conservatives say stuff, and then you just believed them. Because this is what I did when I was 20, and I was a conservative too. I just believed the dumb shit that I was hearing, and I believed it for a really long time too. And then like one time somebody had me Google it, and I was like, oh shit, I don't know what I'm talking about. So
Wait,
could I have? Are you in front of a computer right now?
I'm in front of a computer. Yeah.
Okay. Could you Google? Does everybody make the same amount of money in a socialist country?
Money in a... You want to know the sources I'm getting?
I would just like you to read one.
I'm getting Reddit sources, so
Well, so Reddit sources are still better than any sources you've given me. Do you want to just read one of the answers?
Anyone can post anything on Reddit. I'm not going to read
God,
a
dude.
Reddit response.
Oh my god. Dude, you're 20. You should not be this stubborn at this point, dude. Can you just admit that you don't know?
I do know. I'm not going to read a Reddit source from some random Joe that wrote it.
So then scroll down.
Scroll down, correct.
What were the words that you searched?
Does everyone make the same amount of money in a socialist country? ?
Okay, so now go past Reddit.
Go past Reddit, sure.
Now what do you see? Read me some more sources.
Thesocialist.org.au.
Seems like it seems like if you wanted sources on socialism, you might go to socialist.org.
You've heard of that source?
It's an Australian government source. That's what the .au is, I think. I believe AU is Australia. Do you want to read it?
We can read it, sure.
Okay, I'll read it.
Yeah, you read it.
Okay, a reader recently asked us, does everyone be paid under socialism? And if so, what incentive would there be to work hard or study? Basically your question. No, everyone would not be paid under socialism. This is a common myth spread to confuse people and suggest that skilled or ambitious people would be better off under capitalism. This is the argument you just made. Nothing could be further from the truth. The first point to make is that the question presupposes that under capitalism, smart people and those who work hard are paid the most. Also not the case. Right? Do you want me to keep going?
I'm just
read this whole thing to you. It's like 3 pages long. The main difference is that you just it's not capital. Like, do you know what capitalism is?
Yeah, but I have a question. For you. If we're redistributing the wealth, you have.
Oh my God! Stop saying redistributing the wealth. This is just like a Republican talking point. What does socialism mean? Let's try this one more time. What does socialism mean?
Socialism is when you redistribute wealth.
No, God damn it. Google socialism. Say socialism definition. Google it. Socialism definition.
You want me to read the Wikipedia source?
Socialism, I don't care which one you read. I don't care.
Well, this is it says socialism is a political ideology that aims to give workers shared ownership of the tools, land, and buildings that they use to make products or provide services.
There you go. So they own the means of production. Does it say anything about that, about redistributing wealth there?
No. What do you mean?
Oh my God.
No. I'm asking you to just clarify what you mean when it says they own the means of production.
So read that. So read that again. Read it again. It's going to explain. It's going to explain what they're talking about. Read it again out loud.
I'm reading it to myself.
No, read it out loud. This is
why
nobody wants to say because there's people here listening. It's not just me and you.
Right, we're having a discussion.
Can you just read it out loud or no?
Do you want to read it out loud?
Well, I'm not on the same one as you. Do you want me to go to? You're on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
It's political philosophy. All right, so I'll read your definition with you then. A political philosophy and movement encompassing a wide range of economic and social systems, which are characterized. Now, this is going to explain what they mean by owning the means of production. Social ownership. You know what social ownership is? It's like the asset is owned by like a society as a whole rather than an individual, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and the means of production is like, how would I explain that? Like the land, the labor, anything that you use to produce something, right?
Wait, but if society owns
Oh
it,
my
who's
God.
paying the workers?
Oh my God. So it's basically means that when you go to work, you own the means of production. So you share in the profits from the work where you're at. Not just a wage. It doesn't just go to the people who provided the capital to start the business. The people who work there have ownership in the business, basically.
So we're talking about the same business. Would the owner, not even the owner, would the manager get paid as the employee, the worker?
No, the manager would likely be paid more than the just the everyday worker. Now you could pay them all the same if you wanted to, but there's nothing in socialism that says everybody gets paid the same amount of money.
Okay.
See how easy that is? I'm just telling you, man, I would just say this. You're 20. It's fine. Like, you're probably in a conservative area. I would just go out and read about socialism, and then look at the world around you. Because look, dude, I don't know. Are you planning on going to school, going to college?
I'm in college right now.
You're in college. What are you studying?
Psychology.
Okay. And did you have to take out student loans? Get that covered, or?
Yeah.
You had to take out student loans. Okay. When you come out, you're gonna have student loans, and you're gonna be Are you gonna practice psychology? Be a psychologist?
Undecided, but probably.
Undecided. Okay. So when you get out into the working world, you're going to see some things. You're going to see that it's really, really fucking expensive. And you're going to look up and you're going to see a bunch of people hoarding all the wealth. You're going to look at Jeff Bezos. You're going to look at, by the time you're in the workforce, it's even going to be worse. You're going to look at all these massive corporations, people that can literally just buy, like, they're just buying islands for the fun of it. They're going on vacation to the moon. And you're going to say, like, okay, as a first-year psychologist, wherever you are, let's say that you're making $60,000 a year. You're not going to be able to afford shit. You won't be able to get a house. You'll get a shitty apartment. You'll live paycheck to paycheck, and your prospects for making a substantial bit more money than that are going to be slim. And you're going to look up at all these people who made all their money by investing, or all these people who made all their money off of the backs of labor, and you're going to go, why do those people have so much money and I'm working my ass off? I might be working 10 hours a day. You might work 12 hours a day. How many hours you need to do to make ends meet? And do you really think that you're not going to be working as hard as Jeff Bezos? And then you're going to look at the system and say, this is kind of unfair. It's kind of unfair that once you get money, and specifically the amount of money these people have, they can fix every single problem they ever have by just paying it off. And they run everything. Yeah. And that's because what we did in this country is we allowed corporations to hoard the wealth. We allowed these people to take all the wealth. And we did it by allowing them to be like, hey, don't worry, like, we're providing the jobs for you. We're providing the jobs. We're taking the risk. We deserve all the benefit. Well, the benefit is massive. The benefit far outweighs the risk that they're taking. Because I've started and failed businesses, and you know what? It was fine. If you do it the right way, and if you set it up as a business, you still live. Worst case scenario, your business fails, and you start again. But these guys are telling you that they took all the risk and they deserve all the money because capitalism and because socialism's bad. They don't want socialism because they don't want to share any of that money, dude. They don't want any of that money to trickle down. They don't want the backs. They don't want the people who built that fortune for them. They don't want that to trickle down to them. They want it to stay with them. Jeff Bezos needs that money to stay with him, right? For whatever reason. He can't spend it, but we just need to take that money out of circulation in the economy, and it just needs to sit there with Jeff Bezos, and everybody else just needs to be fucked.
Yeah, can I just add one more thing?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up a true point. College is freaking expensive, and you're going to be stuck with a lot of student loans, and it's hard to come out of that. And for example, when Biden gave he relieved all the student loans for people who didn't pay for their college, my question, I guess, is if he's forgiving the loans from people that didn't pay it off, then why would people in the future want to pay off their student loans when they know that it could be forgiven in the future?
It's an interesting question that ignores the fact that, like, ignores the question of why do you need a student loan to go to school? Because it used to be in this country, college was either dirt cheap or it was free. So the real question you should be asking yourself is, who are all the people getting rich off of this? Is it the government? No. Is it you? No. Who is it? It's banks. Right? Somehow the banks now need to make money off of us going to school. Why'd we allow that? Why'd we allow that? Because the banks saw an opportunity. They saw an opportunity to make money. They're the ones that advocate for these schools to be really expensive. They're the ones that advocate for the state not to pay in and not give, like, a free education. They don't want that because then they lose money. You're literally looking at a problem. You're looking at Biden like he's the problem, and you're forgetting the fact that you have predatory banks who are preying off of like 18-year-old kids who don't know what you don't even know what you want to do with your life yet, and you've got bills, you've got debt, you don't even know if you want to practice psychology, you don't even know yet, but goddamn that bank doesn't care. They find kids, they sell them a dream that they're going to come out of college and they're going to have this perfect job and perfect career. They rack up the debt and they make interest on it hand over foot. They're predatory loans, and for some reason Republicans are like, Joe Biden, communism bad, socialism bad. It's like this is literally like capitalism. That's what this is.
I mean,
this is capitalism, just like, and it's gotten so far now that like and people don't care. Like nobody quits at 20 million. They got to get to 100 million. They have to have generational wealth. For what reason? Like capitalism does not promote equality.
Yeah, like no, like you're right. The banks make a lot of money because they charge a lot of interest. But
so then
again,
what are you doing on here advocating against?
But why would other people not take out? Like you're incentivizing people to take out student loans and not pay off their college.
No, we're not. No, that's not. So that's not what happened.
We have a question. Who's paying the banks when their loans are forgave? Sorry.
Who's paying the banks?
Yeah. Because you're taking the loan out from the bank, so the bank still needs to make money. So who's paying off the student loan?
I don't know exactly the mechanism that was used to pay that, but essentially it's going to be us.
Yeah, that right there is a redistribution of wealth.
It's not a redistribution of wealth. It's a redistribution of
No, you're having
bills,
people that
right?
have money pay for people that don't have money, and the wealth gap over time, not in a small sample size, but over time it starts to close in.
And wasn't that overturned? I believe it was overturned. I believe Biden's order was overturned.
That would be good to know. Okay,
I'm pretty sure it was overturned. Anybody in the Discord want to help me with that? I'm pretty sure it was overturned. They can let me know there in the Discord. But again, dude, like none of this is benefiting you, and you seem to blame the wrong people. Like you keep blaming like Democrats for the shit that's going on. Like, are you not recognizing that a lot of times with these loans, like people have paid off the total balance of this loan, like sometimes up to 10 times by the time they actually pull it off. Like, did a bank need to make 10 times their original loan value for you to go to college? Do you think that's a good system?
Well, you're taking a loan from the bank.
No, I said, is that a good system?
I don't know.
No, honestly, do you think it's a good system that somebody else gets, like somebody loans you money to go to school and then you pay them back sometimes up to 10 times over?
It can be unfair and unfortunate, yeah.
Sorry, I brought up Allie here just because she has statistics on this that I don't have, and she can probably explain them to you. Go ahead, Allie.
Hey, Levy, how you doing? It's nice to
how
talk
are
to you
you?
today. I'm doing well. So this is a great topic for a guy in your position, right? You're going to school. You need to know about these things.
Yeah.
First and foremost, I want to address the question that you had about who's going to pay the banks back. And there's kind of a fundamental flaw in that assumption for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, most of these banks, under the old terms of student loans, were making 4 to 5 to God only knows how many times the original lended amount. So they not only recouped the money that they lended, but they recouped that amount 4 to 5 or more times over. So paying them back is not really the issue, right? Because they've already made their money back plus a whole bunch. And so in this forgiveness, we're just forgiving stuff that they've already made a huge amount of profit on. That's number one. So it's not really deducting anything from the banks or us. It's just saying you're done making a profit. And then I wanted to also touch on the idea that the Biden administration has done some really fundamental changes to the terms on student loans. There are a lot of things yet that we could still do better, and we have yet to address the price of education. But that being said, the new structure of how student loans work is going to help people be able to pay it off more like a normal loan, like you would see on maybe like a car or a home, to where if you make payments above your monthly payment, it'll go to your principal and help whittle that down. That's a huge, huge change, because that term by itself under the old way of doing things was a huge reason that people couldn't pay off their student loans because they would have to pay off all of the interest on the loan and then make payments above that just to touch the principal and help themselves out. And they don't have to do that anymore. You can make your payment and anything above that goes to your principal, right? And so it's important to understand that when you're talking about student loans, the forgiveness that has gone out, most of that is because those were administrative mistakes that ended up costing people more money than they should have been charged even under the old terms. And that's what's already went out.
Yeah.
Not to mention,
Can I
Yeah, go
ask
ahead.
you one question?
You bet.
Yeah, when we're saying that their student loans are being forgave, who's forgiving them?
Yeah, so the government is no longer backing those loans, is essentially what's being said. And the government is holding lenders to the terms that they agreed to under those loans. In this particular instance, like a lot of the forgiveness is around mistakes that were made administratively on those loans, where people ended up paying a lot longer than they ever had to or were supposed to, and now they don't have to keep paying anymore.
So you're saying it's the government that's forgiving their loans?
Yeah, I mean, in a roundabout way, you could say that, yeah.
Yeah, where does the government get its money from?
The government is not paying the loans. The government is not backing the loans. There's a difference between not backing a loan and not paying a loan.
So
Right?
then
The government
how are
isn't paying those loans. People are.
How are the banks staying in business then if they're giving out loans to people and they're not getting paid their money in interest?
Because they've already made, 4, 5, 10, 20, who ever knows how many times the amount that they originally loaned. So they're not actually out money, they're just out profit.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I think that's a common misconception, right? Which is a fair misconception because it's a pretty convoluted system. But I would tell you that the Democrats at this particular point in time are trying to make it so that at least those loans are more palatable until we can work on a solution to how expensive college is, right?
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. That's a big deal for a guy like you or for a gal like me that just graduated last year.
Mhm.
Those are all huge things. Not to mention the fact that the Biden administration is still working on a rule change to potentially forgive a lot more student loans for a lot more people. So it's not going to hurt the economy. It's actually going to help the economy. All that money that would be going to profits for a bank is now going to go back into the economy, which will help the people that keep the economy running instead of that top tier, 1% that don't really do a lot for the economy.
All right. Got you.
All right, thanks for letting me talk. I'll see you guys later.
Thanks, Allie. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Hi, brother. Well, I'm gonna shut it down
no,
for the day. I appreciate you
yeah.
coming on. Allie, thanks. Not a topic I'm super well informed on. I did just see when I was looking it up. It looks like a new round of student loan forgiveness was passed today. Maybe I'm
What
seeing
did it
$9
say?
billion in. It was 3 hours ago. Biden cancels another $9 billion in student debt payment. Looks like that student debt payment is going to go to public servants who are enrolled in the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, people in IDRs, and disabled borrowers. So 126,000 people are going to be getting student loan debt forgiven.
All right.
So I'll look into the details on that. But I appreciate it. Thanks for bringing up. I appreciate you bringing up a topic I didn't know a lot about.
I'm glad it didn't get that heated, man.
Yeah, I match energies.
Yeah, no,
appreciate it.
I learned something. I don't know how much you learned from me, but
No, I learned from Allie. I think we both learned from
yeah,
Allie.
no,
I think that's actually what
fine.
happened.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, no, yeah, I'm young, so I'm still learning. But yeah.
All right, brother. Be well. Hey, good luck in school.
Hey,
and
thank you.
and hey, when it comes time to vote, vote blue. Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
All right,
Take care,
brother.
man. Thank you.
We'll see you. All right. Y'all heard of me. Agreed. Thank you, guys. I'm just running out of energy. That's all that really happened. My AC. I've got to go turn it on. I forgot I unplugged it yesterday when I was cleaning it out. So doing my regular maintenance, and now I've got to go back outside and hook it back up. So it's a little warm in here. That's why I'm shutting it down. But I will see you guys not tomorrow. Day off tomorrow. I've got some things to do tomorrow, and I will see you Friday. bright and early, but I will likely see you Thursday night. So keep Discord. I will let you guys know when I'm going to go live, but just keep your notifications on. As always, you can support me by going to my YouTube. Those who have subscribed, I appreciate it. Liking and commenting on the TikTok videos, that's great. I appreciate all the guests that came today, and I will see you guys tomorrow night.